Good morning, YouTube. How are you? Hope everyone is doing well. I myself am always trying to have a better day than I had the day before, and hopefully leading to better and better days as time goes by, making better and better decisions, learning from my lessons, all of which take time and effort. And I know that's how I have to walk this path. I just know I have no choice. If I cannot do anything, I can do those things. I have the fun time of having to deliver messages that don't make people happy, and there are folks who are offended by things that hit too close to home or that show themselves to be truth. And so it's not always fun delivering messages that are not meant for certain people, but they just they just will not let me do what I have to do, what I have no choice but to do, and I have no choice but to do this. This is the path forward. This is how I have to work. This is what I have to do. And all of us here have a job that we have to do under any conditions, under any circumstances. That's just how it is for some of us. Whatever we got to do, we got to persist in doing it, and we do not get to decide that we wake up and not do it. And sometimes people don't understand that. Give me a second here. Okay, so to today's message. And I don't look up these verses, although sometimes I feel like maybe if I did look up the verses, they wouldn't look like the verses that I am reading right now. However, these are not my messages. This is not my curriculum. I call it a curriculum. I don't even call it a message, because the mood changes, the spirit of it changes, and I have to flow with it, and I do not have a choice in how it goes. Thankfully so, to be honest with you, thankfully so. Because had I had a choice, I would just be deciding what I want to say. And what I want to say is not necessarily what is meant to be said at the time that I'm saying it. So, gotta just flow with the way things are going and, what's happening here. So, I'm gonna read the Bible verse that came to me today. Give me a second here. There's this new song that got stuck in my head. And I'm like, great, great, great. When I like a song, I promise you, I'm going to get these artists paid. I don't get tired of listening to the song. But there's this new song that I quite enjoy. And we're going to see how that goes. We're going to see how that goes. Okay. So, the Bible verse today, or the chapter, I read whole chapters, even though sometimes they're lengthy and sometimes, I don't know, I'm looking at it, I'm like, maybe I didn't need all of this, but I will read it anyway. So this is First Chronicles chapter 5. Now the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, for he was the firstborn. But for as much as he defiled his father's bed, his birthright was given unto the sons of Joseph, the son of Israel. And the genealogy is not to be reckoned after the birthright. For Judah prevailed above his brethren, and of him came the chief ruler, but the birthright was Joseph's. Judah prevailed above his brethren, his brothers, and of him came the chief ruler, but the birthright was Joseph's. The sons, I say, of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, were Hanok and Palu, Hezron and Carmi. I want to, if I can repeat that. Reuben is the firstborn of Israel. Reuben is the firstborn, so usually the firstborn son gets favor. But because he defiled his father's bed, the birthright was given to Joseph. The birthright is the inheritance. The inheritance was given to Joseph. The sons of Joel, Shemaiah his son, Gog his son, Shimei his son, Micah his son, Reah his son, Baal his son, Bera his son, whom Tilgath-Pilneser, king of Assyria, carried away captive. He was prince of the Reubenites. And his brethren by their families, when the genealogy of their generations were reckoned, were the chief Jael and Zechariah. And Bela, the son of Azaz, the son of Shema, and the son of Joel, who dwelt in Aurora, Aroer, Aurora, even unto Nebo and Baal-meon. And eastward he inhabited upon the entering in of the wilderness from the river Euphrates, because their cattle were multiplied in the land of Gilead. And in the days of Saul they made war with the Hagarites, who fell by their hand. And they dwelt in their tents throughout all the east land of Gilead. And the children of Gad dwelt over against them in the land of Bashan unto Salcah, Salcah, Salcah. Joel the chief, and Shapham the next, and Jenai and Shapnat in Bashan. And their brethren of the house of their fathers were Michael, and Meshullam, and Sheba, and Jorai, and Shakan, and Zia, and Heber, 7. And that's the brethren of the house of their fathers. There were 7 in there. These are the children of Abihail, the son of Hurai, the son of Jeroah, the son of Gilead, the son of Michael, the son of Jeshishai, the son of Jadu, and the son of Buz. Ahi, the son of Abdiel, the son of Gunai, chief of the house of their fathers. And they dwelt in Gilead, in Bashan, and in her towns, and in all the suburbs of Sharon upon their borders. All these were reckoned by genealogies in the days of Jotham, king of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam, king of Israel. The sons of Reuben and the Gadites, and half the tribe of Manasseh, of valiant men, men able to bear buckler and sword, and to shoot with bow, and skillful in war, were 40,760. So that's 40,760 that were out to the war. 440,730 men that went to war. And they made war with the Hagarites, with Judah and Nephish and Nodab. And they were helped against them, And the Hagarites were delivered into their hand, and all that were with them. For they cried to God in the battle, and he was entreated of them because they put their trust in him. This is First Chronicles chapter 5, verse 20. And they were helped against them, and the Hagarites were delivered into their hand, and all that were with them, for they cried to God in the battle, and he was entreated of them because they put their trust in him. And they took away their cattle, of their camels 50,000, and of sheep 250,000 sheep, and of asses 2,000, and of men 100,000. For there fell down many slain, because the war was of God. And they dealt in their steads until the captivity. And the children of the half tribe of Manasseh dwelt in the land. They increased from Bashan unto Baal Hermon and Sinir, and unto Mount Hermon. And these were the heads of the house of their fathers, even Epher and Ishi and Eliel and Azrael and Jeremiah and Hodaviah and Jediel, mighty men of valor, famous men, and heads of the house of their fathers. And they transgressed against the God of their fathers, and went a-whoring after the gods of the people of the land, whom God destroyed before them. And the God of Israel stirred up the spirit of Pul, king of Assyria, and the spirit of Tilgath-Pilneser, king of Assyria, and he carried them away, even the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh, and brought them into Halah and Habor and Hara and to the river Gozan unto this day. This is obviously talking about genealogy. Genealogy being talking about lineages, and talking about how going into battle is something that one should do really with God. Going into battle is not something that you want to do yourself. And when I talk about battle and I talk about these things, I'm truly not talking about in the way that people might think, like fighting against God, against people and stuff like that. Is not what I'm talking about at all. I'm genuinely talking about, one second here. I'm genuinely talking about facing personal struggles, facing personal trials in life, facing difficulties that are meant to knock you down. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about battle. I don't want it to be confused with something else, something that it's not. Give me a second here. I'm trying to make this thing stay. My baby, give me a second here. This thing does not like, this one particular thing I'm doing does not like cooperating with me at all. And that's okay, because we will figure you out here. I will figure it out. That is literally the bulk of what we're doing here, is constantly just figuring things out. Just figuring things out. and then learning to figure it out with patience, and then learning to figure out with grace. It's not always, things are not always easy to figure out, I'll tell you that for sure. And it's not always peaceful, and that's okay. So that's the verse that I got. So today I want to talk about, there's a lot to go through here today. So today I want to talk about this spiritual path that we are all on, that we do not have a choice to be on. It might feel like you have a choice to give up, but Spirit is not going to let that happen. This is the way that you have to go through this battle. There isn't much you can do about it. First of all, let me talk about the way this battle is being fought. And then I'm going to go into not just the way the battle is being fought, but I'm going to give you my best advice on how I had to go through this scenario myself. Because it's not fun and it's not always easy. So you are fighting a battle in an inverted manner, in an inverted fighting style. And what I mean by an inverted fighting style is such. Basically, the prey is pursuing the hunter. And if you think about, say, in a jungle, how that would work. If something is the prey, why on earth would it pursue the hunter? You're essentially in a situation where you are innocent. You're innocent of karma. You're innocent of aggression. You have not looked for problems with anyone. However, problems are finding you. In order to fight in an inverted battle style, essentially, you are being pursued by something that is going to be defeated not necessarily by your hand, but by your spirit team. And so in order to understand this, you have to understand that you never need to attack anyone, and you never do. And you never break spiritual law, which is essential here, that you do not go looking for trouble with anyone. In this way, a lot of things happen. So it results in drained energy, other people's energy being drained. It results in backfires because energy is being sent towards you and the energy is being deflected. And it results in actions that activate your spirit team in battle. Essentially, it's aggressions against you that are persistent, that do not stop, but because of your protection, it does not prevail. So this is an inverted battle style. And if that does not make sense, you have to think about it like this. It's like putting a pile of unsupervised cash in front of thieves. It would already be hard to resist for normal people, but putting a pile of unsupervised cash in front of thieves is definitely going to result in the money being stolen. And then the thieves find out who they stole from, and it's problematic. So that is what an inverted battle style is. In an inverted battle style, or in an inverted battle, all you have to do is be there. Sit there and endure and just do what you're told. You don't have to fight it. It took a while for me to get to that point, to see that. It took a while, okay? Because of the kind of way the energy comes at you in the beginning. All you got to do is just be there. And God said that to me. All you got to do is be there. You don't have to do anything. This is not your fight. But over time, you get it. You end up draining yourself. You end up pushing against energy. You end up doing all of this stuff. And then eventually you get to the same thing that you would have gotten to anyway, which is all I got to do is be there. I don't have to do beyond that. So let me give you my best practices. Let me give you my advice on how to get through this. First things first, remain grateful. I did the first, I want to say, year and a half in gratitude, and that definitely makes it easier. That is the easier way to do this because you wake up refreshed every day. You wake up, you're gonna wake up rejuvenated either way, but it's just a nicer vibration to be in, is an attitude of gratitude. Now, it's going to be confusing both to you and people around you and people watching, because people are gonna think, what is there to be grateful about? You're being attacked, you're going through all of this stuff. There is absolutely nothing here for you to feel like happy about. Why are you waking up happy every day? Why are you smiling every day? People thought I didn't know what was going on because of the fact that I was happy every day. I would show up to work with a smile. I was still able to dance to music. I was very grateful. I navigated problems with confidence. I was still at peace, excuse me, and they were wondering why I was at peace. Like, they verbatim asked me, literally. They were like, why are you so calm? So remaining grateful in your battle is easier. Now, that means that my prayers at the time were literally all just thanks. Um, it was prayers of like, please protect, please guide. But other than that, it was like all prayers of thanksgiving. There was no point at that time for anything else other than that. Um, because you're taken care of on this journey. So there's no point in you thinking that, just don't overthink it. Just be grateful and count blessings. And it really is true what they say about counting blessings. You literally have to count them. So there is much to be grateful for, trust me. First of all, protection. Second of all, spiritual insight. You're being navigated in and out, you're being guided. There's a lot to be grateful for. Even if you might think or you might feel initially that there isn't, there is a lot to be grateful for. Be grateful for your life, be grateful for your bed, be grateful for your house. The seasons are going to change and it's going to be confusing and you're going to lose things, because that is part of the process of your ascension. Is you have to lose things. You cannot take things with you because things are a barrier to your success. So for example, I wouldn't say I lost my store. It had to be released. So you have to let go at some point. The money that they're putting in the store was the money is the blockage. The money is dirty. The money is cursed. The money can be cursed with anything. It can be cursed with health spells. The money can be cursed with beauty spells. The money can be cursed with stagnation. The money can block your money. So you're not losing. You come to a point where you don't want their money. So anything that attracts their money, you start being vigilant about. So that brings me to a point that I don't have here. Actually, I do. So I might as well just jump around. The point that I have about that is, we do not accept favors or money from enemies, because that is a strategy to enter into your world energetically. So you start being wary of being given money by these people, taking favors, people working with you, any of the above. If people work with you, it's because, and they don't just want to work with you, they need the evidence. They need a picture with you, a picture in your business, in your life, taking videos with you, so that when they go back out and they say something about you, they have evidence that they were aligned with you. If they don't have proof that they were your friend, that you guys were together, that you guys went together, if they don't have video evidence, it makes it harder when they come with their stories. So they have to come as, I was best friends with this person, I'm their cousin, I'm their whatever, I know they are homosexual, I know they abuse kids, I know they do this, and that helps them destroy your character. So as you go through your journey, you come to the point where you see self-isolation is the only path forward. They want proof always. They want a picture of you something that they can post publicly, so you don't make alliances with them, you don't talk to them, you don't respond to them, you don't let them do anything. Nothing with you. When they are out of options, they're going to go back to the beginning of the drawing board, and then they're going to ask to come and be involved with you. And that is the way I have experienced it myself so many times, and that's why I can say that. So don't accept people's money. People try to make sure that they give you cash, and the cash is dirty. And then they wait to see if what they've done works. It could be money, it could be food, it could be favors, it could be collaborations, it could be alliances. People have tried to work with me and immediately turned around and said, oh, because of me, your thing succeeded. Oh, your website only looks good because of me. Oh, really? We tear down the whole website and we redo that shit immediately. Excuse my language. My nothing doesn't look nothing because of no one. You take away all access. Somebody said to me, oh, just make sure the pictures on your profile looks good. The first 9. I did my whole profile and they came back and said, and they emailed me out of their way, unsolicited, emailed me and said, thank you, good thing you took my advice and my coaching. And I had to literally pull that lady up and be like, don't ever in your life again say something like that again. Don't ever in your life say that you did anything for me. You did nothing for me. You can't even help yourself. So you got to make sure you stay away from these people, so these people do not take credit for your work. Because like wolves, they are waiting to take credit for everything that you do if it goes well. But what they're doing in the meantime is fighting you down and destroying you. They don't have one specific target. They do have a specific target, which is to destroy you. But if they can't, they want to grab a little slither on your way up. So it is important to do everything on your own. Anything involving anyone else. And they're going to, if they cannot get you to agree to work with them, they're going to forcibly go behind the scenes to do things. They'll go behind the scenes to force their way in, to push, to beg, to plead, to grovel, just so that they can have some sort of attachment, get rid of everything and everyone in every capacity whatsoever. So that's number 2. This is going to be no particular order just because I'm bouncing around as one topic leads me to the other. You are in a state of perpetual distractions. That's all it is. It is a perpetual distraction. They start exploring options very early. Can they no longer make you, can they unalive you? If that is no, can they make you sick? If that is no, can they make you too drained to work, too tired? If that is no, can they make you demotivated? If that is no, can they distract you? As time wears down, there's a particular amount of time where nothing will move either way. So in this time, spirit doesn't just stagnate you to stagnate you, you're stagnated to learn. This is the amount of time it takes to teach you. As you're learning through your stagnation, you have to make sure you're consistent in your education, so that when you get to the point where it is energetically possible and safe for you to move, when it comes to the point that you are safe, you are going to learn all the lessons, so you're going to be unperturbed by any distractions whatsoever. So they want to hold you back. If they cannot stop you completely, they want to at least slow you down or hold you back. You become so preoccupied with suffering spell work, with being tired, with being drained, with seeing results. You become so tired of the same things over and over that you just want to stop and you don't want to continue, and you get tired of reworking. But it's in reworking something that you build something. Now, lucky for me, I've rebuilt things a million times. Not because anybody was attacking me or there was any issue, but because I looked at it and I said, this is no good. I gotta start back. In me reworking things, I've become accustomed to reworking. I don't see reworking as being pulled back or being held back. It is an improvement. It is like saying, I've renovated my house 3 times in 3 years. But if you had to renovate in that short period of time, it's because there was something necessary. Perhaps a plan design didn't make sense. There was something that made it worth it to renovate that many times. So that is why you had to do it. This is a positive thing, it's not a negative thing. It's not like somebody is stomping on it and it's not possible to be done. That's why I'm renovating it. You're reworking and you're doing it better, because the last way could not move forward. You cannot just keep things that don't make sense because just to keep them. If you have to rework something 1,000 times, that is the path of growth. iPhone releases a new cell phone every year. And whether or not you might think they're releasing it to release it, it makes sense to have the new release. Meta, as they call themselves, or Facebook or whatever, releases new versions of itself all the time. They update all the time. They have to keep with the times. It has to make sense. You reworking your plan is simply addressing new loopholes that you found. And that might lead me to another point that I have here. It just exposes new loopholes. So you cannot expect to move forward without knowing where your loopholes are. There are companies, especially tech companies, that release software and they actually pay. They have competitions where they pay a lot of money to hackers to expose loopholes before they even release it, because they want to know what potential problems they're going to have. And I've heard about these before, like they'll pay $1 million, let's say, for people to expose what the loopholes are and then to explain it to them and possibly even to help them correct it. They don't just let these people go. They know who these people are now. They know what skills these people have. I don't care if these people know it or not. They know where these people live. They know everything about these people. You have to, because these people know your secrets. You probably want to hire them. Another example of that, there are people who can hack government websites, who can hack all kinds of websites, and you would think that they would arrest them, extradite them, bring them to the country, and put them in jail. It's a waste of talent. They hire them. Even if it's under duress, even if it's under monitoring them, they hire them because it's a waste of talent. Now that we know we have this vulnerability, we might as well fix this. That is how you're operating right now. You know who can assess your loopholes. You're probably closely paired with something that is like you, but in an inverted fashion, just to expose loopholes. It doesn't mean that you guys are the same. It doesn't mean you guys have the same rank. They probably have no rank, to be honest with you. But there's probably something about this energy that is necessary that could be put to use. To give you an example, back to the hacking of the government website, that could be somebody that was self-taught in a third world country that is working off of equipment that the government would never give its people. Okay, they're working under those conditions. They hack a website. So there are people, this is a true story. There are people in Nigeria that hacked the US government's website and gave themselves citizenship. And then they were charging in Nigeria to give people citizenship. And they got up to 30 people. I think it was 30 people that they got up to before they got caught. Can you imagine how much goes into doing that? Like how much work goes into doing something like that to get up to 30 people before you get caught? And I'm pretty sure they hired these people. I know they didn't they said, oh, they put them in jail. I'm pretty sure they hired this. I'm sure they did, because it is only logical to sit someone down and have them walk you through what the vulnerabilities on your website is. Because can you imagine if that information, you're gonna put somebody like that in general population, even in isolation in prison? I just, in my personal opinion, I don't think they release people like that. But in a situation like that, that person, that hacker, is still not of the same pedigree, as the people developing the US site. Perhaps those people developing the site, they've gone to school, they've done this, but you must understand, sometimes it's not about skill level. Sometimes it's about vantage point. When you develop something, you develop it from your vantage point, and your perspective is for whatever you're developing it for. So if I'm developing a US website to grant people citizenship, I am not developing it from the mindset of how do I block hackers, because I probably am not considering that people are going to do something like that. I'm thinking about protecting people's information, doing this, doing that. Functionality, maybe different platforms communicating with each other, how this government site that gives the information is going to communicate with the passport website, is going to communicate with the birth certificate website. Those are the things that they're thinking about. It's not a matter of skill. But now that they know there's a vulnerability, they would be stupid to not include that in their planning every year as they update sites, as they switch platforms, whatever it is. They would be stupid not to integrate that knowledge into what they need to know. And they're probably going to find that they need to consistently update, because there is always a new threat and always a new problem. That is where you stand. That is why reworking, re-envisioning, redesigning is literally built into what you're going to be doing. And you have assistance on this because you have people here that are dedicated to exposing all your vulnerabilities. This is not something that they can pull back from doing. They must find vulnerabilities because they have to pull you down. That is the job. This is a situation where something is in the center and it's just blocked in. It must do its job. Laying back and not doing its job is the surest way for it to terminate itself. So you are always going to know what your vulnerabilities are, and you're always going to be having to address them. If you want to have a business, you want to have a career, and you want to be a musician, you want to be whatever, you cannot even, how can you not address vulnerabilities? So you need to not look at that as a frustrating process. You need to look at that as something that is a part of what you're doing. Anything you do in life that is going to be successful and visible to the public, even not visible to the public, you're going to have to constantly address threats that come your way. This is going to be an illusion of a blockage, and you just need to adjust your mindset, and then you release that as a blockage. There is going to be panic at your progress, and as you progress through this journey. You are a TI, a targeted individual. Targeted individual is not just people like us. Targeted individuals are celebrities, they are politicians, they are the royal family, they are government officials, they are anybody with anything of value is a target. Doesn't matter how much or how little. Once people begin to focus on you, you are a TI. Anytime, if their job is to stagnate you, anytime you start making progress, they're going to panic, and they're going to fly into a panic, and they're going to start fighting you even harder. They're going to start fighting for your attention. There are phases to the cycle closing. And the phases that you're on, what used to be big cycles that were very difficult, they become very small phases. These small phases dwindle down into things like getting your attention. And they can use any means to get your attention, sending you spell work, distractions, fighting you, doing this, coming to your energy, blah, blah, blah. So you got to address triggers. Things that used to trigger you need not trigger you anymore, or else you're going to be in a constant state of being triggered. It can include sending you spell work. You got to learn how to deal with it and not panic when you get spell work, because spell work is something that is only temporary to the moment until you clean it off. Spell work is not real. The carriage cannot remain, the pumpkin cannot remain a carriage all night. It has up until midnight, and then it is going to turn back into a pumpkin. Spell work is not real. If spell work was real, people would be doing spell work to get rich. Money spells and jar spells and all that, like, this is not real. We are in a 3D world. Gotta work for money. You gotta actually get up and go get you a job. This stuff is temporary. So you gotta not panic about it. It's not a real illness. It's not real weight gain. It's not real beauty spells. It's just on you right now. You're gonna clean it, you're gonna clear it, you're gonna learn how to clean it, and you're gonna get rid of it. The energy is only real when you create the energy. When you do not create the energy, it is not yours. Now, there are things that only make sense. You'll say to yourself, I'm going to create the energy of abundance, but it needs a hook. Everything needs a hook. If somebody is doing something, say for example, you do a money spell, but you're not working, you don't have a job, you're sitting at home, you want to win the lottery. I don't know, I'm no expert as to whether or not that's going to work or not. I just don't think that it works like that, unless it was supposed to work like that, but I don't think it works like that. You got to get up and you got to do the work. The work takes time, the work takes phases, and you got to go through the phases, and you do not get to skip steps. It doesn't matter how strong in magic you think you are. Even when you do love spells, you got to keep reworking it. Even when you do things, you got to keep, because it wears off. It's not real. It's not a real thing. So when they start panicking at your progress and they start throwing things at you, your only job here is to clean it off. It is not to react. It's not to panic. It's not to do any of that. It's to just clean it off, because it's not real. You're going to have to go through your phases of reacting, of panicking, of being triggered, because you're only a human being right now. And so you have to go through your phases of seeing what not to do sometimes. You're not perfect, but that's part of the journey, and that's expected. So as you're on your journey and you're going through this process of being triggered, healing a trigger, understanding a trigger, navigating all of this, then you get to the point where you're like, oh, this is just blah, blah, blah. And you move forward from that. After you go through all of that, you start pushing through to progress, because you understand what's going to come in your way, and you anticipate all of it. And not just that you anticipate all of it, you anticipate new ones, and you're already in the habit of jumping hurdles. You're already in the habit of navigating these things. So it's just a part of your day. That's like saying, we have a huge website as a bank, and you probably go ask these people at the bank, the IT team, how many times do you guys get attempts to hack you per day? And they're probably going to be like, we probably get 1,500 a day across country. You're probably like, oh my God. And to some people, they're like, we're not going to be hacked. We don't have any money. We don't have this or that. Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily. So to the people who know that they're going to be hacked 1,500 times a day, they're going to see new styles of hacking. They're going to see new styles of cyber attacks, and they're going to anticipate it, and they're going to wait, and they know it's part of their job. So they go from, oh my God, somebody's hacking us, to, oh, we have another one. Oh, we have another one. And they probably have their Friday meeting, and they're like, something odd happened last week. I saw this, I saw that, blah, blah, blah. And it's just mundane, and it becomes part of your day-to-day activity. I know what my day-to-day attacks look like, and they're just routine attacks. Whether it's a new one or another one. I know that once I block one attack, I'm going to get another attack. So I anticipate it. I start thinking, as soon as I find a solution, how can this possibly be blocked? What is the next step? How do I figure it out? How do I navigate it? And it literally is just, it becomes a game. And I don't think my life is going to change in this way. I think that as I grow and develop, these attacks are going to go from one individual to others, to groups, and everywhere you go. If you go to TikTok, the gang stalkers on TikTok are there. The gang stalkers from Twitter are there. The gang stalkers from YouTube, the gang stalkers from Instagram. There's groups here. So it is what it is. If you have websites or places you frequent, they're going to gather in that place to make sure you see them, to stay in your awareness, to get your attention. This is a lot of work. Gang stalking is a lot of work. You get to the point where you see it, and then sometimes you get to the point where you miss some of it. I used to be like, oh my God, I don't want to miss anything because I want to figure it out. If you miss it, it means it didn't work. It is what it is. It's like being gang stalked and not being able to tell that you're being gang stalked. They got to go out of their way to make sure you know you're gang stalked. And the next step is give you some anxiety. And the next step is make you afraid. It's an uphill battle. It turns from you fighting the uphill battle. But when you get to the top of that mountain, people got to fight up to get to you. Um, your persistence is their defeat just by you persisting, just by you doing your job. If you block 1,500 attacks per day, it's not going to feel like work anymore. But it literally gets to the point where it's like somebody feels defeated trying 1,500, excuse me, plus times a day. There comes a point where it's just like, oh my God, this is a lot of work. All you got to do is sit here and follow instructions from spirit and just walk through it. Just learn. It takes a lot of energy in the beginning, and then you get low energy with it as time goes on, because this is the same tricks every single time. Like, it might present itself in new forms, but honestly, it's the same thing all the time. You're here to block the success of your enemies simply by blocking points of entry. So every time they do some work, they do a lot of work. Every time they do some work, it gets to the point that the work doesn't work. It was a waste of effort. And I'm positive they get to the point where they're just like, what is the point of me doing all of this if this person's gonna not come on board to what's happening? Because eventually it stops working. You end up incrementally occupying 100% of their time. They don't have time to pursue anything. And I'm actually shocked by how much, when I say 100%, I really do mean that. So they follow you from platform to platform. They follow you from place to place. They're in 100% of their day and of their time is occupied by you and what you're doing and sending an attack and doing something. I say 100%, I really mean, like, people, I'm sure there are times they didn't wipe their behind off the toilet racing to do some type of spell work, do some type of spying, do some type of scrying, call someone. No time for cooking, no time for cleaning, no time for bathing, no time for eating. It is you all day, every day. Every day it is you. That is the purpose, because when their time is free, they get into a lot of trouble. So you know when they say the devil occupies idle hands or something like that, it's like you're occupying the hands of people that would use their hands for negativity. So that's in a way your sacrifice. And then it gets to the point where you force their hands, so they know that they shouldn't, they know that this doesn't make sense, they know it's not going to work, but you force their hand. So if you block them from your home, you force their hand that they must enter. If you block them from doing something that is risky and illegal, you force their hand to put a tracking device on your car. You force their hand. If the tracking was not one thing, they'll put listening devices in the car. They'll do all kinds of things that they know. One wrong step, if they get arrested while you're in that car and you tell the police on the day of their arrest to take your car apart, the evidence is right there. They know it, but their hands are forced. This is how this thing works. It becomes a tightrope. It becomes a minefield that cannot be avoided. Messy, risky business. I want to find points that are aligned. Okay. You are here to, I think I already addressed this one, but block all pathways of entry to you. How do people enter your world? You're going to figure it out because you can see it. I feel very bad for targets that know how people are entering their world and they do nothing about it. You know it's energetic work. What have you done towards it? You should not complain about things that you haven't tried. And you have to keep trying until you block. It's going to be incremental in the beginning. It's going to be slow in the beginning, but you are not going to be able to move forward unless you do it. That's that. There's no other way. They will keep exposing entry points to you, and you cannot keep ignoring the work that has to be done. Now, there's sometimes you're employing strategy. There's sometimes, for whatever reason, things persist. Who knows? However, that is the work. That is what the work does, is about. In the beginning of every fight, things are going to feel difficult because this is not your playground. This is not what you know. In the beginning, things are going to feel difficult and it's going to feel daunting. And in the beginning of blocking entry, in the beginning of combating problems, it's also going to feel daunting because you're going to constantly feel like, you're going to feel like this is an uphill battle. You're addressing things that you don't know. You don't know how to do these things. You're going to get to know how to do these things. You're going to get to understand it no matter how difficult it is. This is building on your skill sets, because any skill set that anything you develop here is a skill set. Even if it's just an attitude, even if it's just an attitude of persistence, even if it's just an attitude of knowing how to navigate something, you're still developing something. You have to start your work. You start in one way, in one vibration, and you might have to switch. You might have to change the feelings that you have in order for you to persist and go through. It's not a stagnant thing, it's an ever-changing thing, but I just want to tell you, this is just the way that things work. This is by design. This is not meant to be against you. This is not built against you. These people are going to run out of ideas. They depend on every word that I say to develop a new idea to attack me. Quite literally. They're out of ideas. There's no other way. And a lot of the times I'm just regurgitating what they already know. So you're going to get to that point where they're drained of energy, of ideas, of hope, of patience. They are depressed and they can see the end looming. And that's just by you sitting in your life, refusing to leave your life, refusing to leave your vessel, refusing to leave your fight, refusing everything. You're going to have to learn really good control of your vibration, because you're going to have to switch vibrations expertly and swiftly as needed. You're going to be in a vibration of fighting, and then you're going to have to switch to healing. Not even healing. Healing is consistent. You're going to be in a vibration of fighting. You might have to switch to forgiveness. You might have to switch to putting your ego away. You might have to switch to being this, that, or the third. Whatever the vibration, the energy is, you have to quickly switch. It's not a matter of taking forever to do things. It is a matter of finding the vibration and switching into it. A lot of what they want to do is keep you in a stagnated vibration, keeping you in a vibration of not feeling successful, keeping you in a vibration of feeling hopeless and defeated. And you have to find the vibration of feeling success, feeling good, feeling that you have your life. And it doesn't change just because there's gang stalkers outside. It doesn't change because someone persists in a behavior that they should stop. It is still the same vibration. Because if you get a new beginning and that new beginning involves gang stalkers being outside, then perhaps the point of being here is learning how to live your life with gang stalkers being outside. Celebrities cannot escape paparazzi. Well, I think they can, to be honest. I do. I think they know how to. However, the paparazzi exists. New threats are always going to be there. New hackers are always going to be there. New things are always going to happen. And it happens, and it is what it is, and then you move on. It's really not, like, for me, I am less concerned about if things go back or things backfire or whatever, as I am concerned with my vibration, because that's really what you need moving forward. And it doesn't mean that you do not slip, you do not fall back. That's how you learn. It's like saying, I learned to ride a bike, but I only fell off of the bike once. That is impossible, to only fall off the bike once. You got to fall off multiple times until you get to the point where you're like, okay, this is how I ride. And then slowly but surely that feeling comes into you, like, this is how I stay on a bike. This is how I get through. If you're going to be a targeted individual trying to stay on the course of your life, or trying to get back on the course of your life, and you think they're not going to be back against you, and you think that you're not going to constantly fall, and you think you're not going to have moments of hopelessness and moments of crying and moments of frustration, like, that's the path. That's the path to learning anything. That's the path to being anything, is the path where you have to be beat down a number of times. So it might take a time, it might take a while. Some people are TIs for years and years and years before they stand up and they say it's time to move on. Some people get followed around in gang stalk for years and years and years until they get to the point where they say, wait a minute, let me work on my anxiety. Let me work on my fear. Let me work on the things that are blocking me from enjoying my life. The only difference between people like myself and people like that is I made the decision early. I made the decision early on that I'm going to be on the path of moving forward. I'm going to find the vibration. I'm going to find the energy of moving forward. I'm going to hold on to that energy and ride it out of here. So everything I do is in the energy, is in the state, is in the mind state of moving forward. Otherwise, I do myself the disservice of stagnating my own self. That is how you get out of here. You cannot get out of here with complaining, and you cannot get out of here with just sitting in it, sitting in that energy. Vibration is just the word that describes your feelings, the feelings that you have every day. It sounds all magical and like hippie and all this, but it's feelings. Think about when you first learned to swim, when you first learned to ride a bike. All of those feelings are the same. It's a set of feelings from the beginning of the challenge to learning the lesson. In the beginning of it, it feels daunting, it feels scary, it feels like you can't do it, etc., etc. It feels bigger than you. All you're thinking about is how deep the water is. I'm gonna drown, I'm gonna this, I'm gonna that. That is the beginning. You keep trying, you keep jumping in, you keep challenging yourself, you keep falling to the bottom, you keep whatever, and eventually you get to the point where you start feeling it. Like, oh, it worked, I can float. Oh, it worked. A little bit. The first time it's a little bit, 1 second, but you noticed it enough to grasp it. It worked. Then you try it again and you try to hold on to it longer. Float for more than 1 second. Do more. And then as soon as you learn to float and you think you got it, a huge wave comes, knocks you down. You're like, oh my God, there's waves. The point is not to say, oh my God, there's waves. Let me never swim again. It's how do I navigate when the waves come? So a new skill comes. And eventually, sometimes people see people surfing out there and they're like, how do they do that? How are they riding a wave? It started from them learning to swim. It started from that first moment of putting your foot out. So as a target, you have to understand, as somebody who's being persecuted, and this goes from whether you're being persecuted in the way that targeted individuals are, or you have a business that's failing, or you have a sickness that you're trying to overcome. Every hurdle, you utilize the same set of feelings in order to get to a solution. It is the same thing across the board. We all go through the same cycle of feelings. You start with feeling overwhelmed, it's daunting, it's impossible, I don't know this, I don't know that. And then you eventually get to the point at the end of it where you've mastered it. And before you master it, you get additional challenges that almost like level up your skill set. Putting timers on it and saying I need to learn it in 6 months, in 3 months, in this and that, you are defeating yourself before you even start. You must give it the amount of time that it needs. The focus is on the effort. The focus is on one foot in front of the other foot. The focus is on blocking barriers to success. The focus is on the walk. The focus is not on time. The focus is not on the feelings. The focus is not on any of that. You go like a child, a fool's journey. Excited to walk your path. Excited for what's the new adventure, what's the new thing. And so you're just trying to improve even 1% upon whatever you did the day before, even a little bit. That's all you're looking for, is a little bit of improvement day by day. And expect that they're gonna push back on you and they're gonna fight back. And that in them pushing back is exposing the vulnerabilities and exposing the next thing to be addressed. So you must look at these people as your personal tutors along this path. And I just want to mention If you were beaten out of a life that you had, you've done it before. You've lived this life before. My heart broke one day because I was in a comment section and a guy said that he lost 7 investment properties, an excavation company, and he said something or the other else. And I thought, what a brilliant man. Can you imagine in one lifetime? Not all of us get to do that. It might, somebody's going to say, well, Bill Gates did this. Great for Bill Gates. That's Bill Gates's path. But you have to give respect to someone who managed that much. Because we didn't do it. I didn't do it. I know I didn't do it. I didn't have 7 investment properties. I got to 1. At one point, I was at 2. And I was like, oh my God, this drains a lot of money. This takes a lot of time and resources. This is scary. This emotionally takes a lot of strength because I have a lot of things I got to worry about. And this is risky because it could be knocked out of your hands if you're not responsible, if you don't make good decisions. So I have to admire someone who can run a full-on business and have all of that, because that means he makes good decisions, and he's going to sit there and feel defeated for what? You've done it before. You know how to do it. You know what you got to do. You know you need investment. You know you need to be responsible. You know how much cash flow you need. You've done it before. But now you're going to do it with pushback. Now you're going to do it with people trying to beat you down. So you don't need to rework the wheel. You know what it's required of it. You need to address the barriers to success. How did they knock me back before? Well, they did this and they did that and they did that and they did that. If you have to make a list and check it off one at a time. How do I block this? And as you go down the list, you might have to go back up the list again because they might come at something a second time. You're going to eventually find the solution that is foolproof. You're going to find the solution that cannot be changed. There are solutions that people can go around, and there are things people cannot go around. For example, if somebody, let me try to find a good example because I really want to find an example that gives confidence in a solution that cannot be broken. So say, for example, I don't know. This is going to be stupid because I can't think of anything. But say, for example, you need to find water and you're in a desert and there is no way around it. Every time you get a cup of water, it gets spilled over. Every time you try to collect rainwater, they poison it. They knock it over. Your solution might be that you're going to keep walking until you find a river or until you find a stream. Because what can they do? Let's say you find a stream. They block the stream. You notice that it's trickling and it's not flowing through. And you go you look up and they've blocked it. So it's not flowing down. Then you're going to have to follow the riverbank all the way down until you get to the ocean, because we know now that every stream leads to an ocean. And you're going to walk and find the ocean. And when you find the ocean, now what are they going to do? They can't block the ocean from flowing. They maybe poison your section of it. You go to another section. These are the kind of solutions that you're looking for. So maybe now that you know they do things like they'll block streams and they'll do all of that over time, now that you know that your stream is a temporary solution, and you're going to continue looking for solutions because that is waiting to be blocked. And that's how you go about what you're doing. You don't wait for problems to find you. You go and find solutions in the meantime that you have something temporary that is working. So if you're not doing that, your battle is going to be, and you're going to call it a battle in the beginning, and eventually it's just going to be life. This is just life. Life as a celebrity involves all of this and way more. Life as somebody who is of value involves all of this and way more. Everybody wants to be king, but people are not prepared for enemies showing up at their gates. That's why they had moats. That's why they had gates to get in. That's why they had high walls. People are not prepared. I used to read a lot about this. I was interested in this a lot when I was younger. People will climb the shaft of the toilet where literally feces are dropping down in order. There was one king, and I can't remember who it was. That's how they killed him. They couldn't get in any other way, so they decided to go up the toilet, to climb the drain up, and then they killed him that way. That's what you're facing. This has been from the beginning of time. So you need to dispel with the idea that you are unique in that you are the only one being attacked. Everybody here is being attacked. Everybody has an issue. Everybody has a problem. It is fine. Some people's are worse than yours. When you read their situation, you're like, let me go and be thankful, because mine is nowhere near that bad. So take your portion, accept it, and move forward with it. Because there are positives in every situation. There are good things here. You're still alive. Hopefully you still have good health. Accept advice when you get it. Even if the advice is something you think might not work. When I started on this journey, all the spiritual advice, I was like, I don't think this is gonna work. What is burning some smoke in the air gonna do? But then it worked. It worked. And then I started to be open to everything. And you may get to the point where you're desperate enough that you will try everything more than once in order to see it work, and then you become open to more and more solutions. There are people who are ahead of you in this fight that know what's going on. Be so grateful when you get the advice for free, that people turn around and walk you through, coach you through how to get through these things, because these things are not easy. And nobody's telling everybody how to do this, believe me. So you have to remain in a vibration of being positive about going through and getting things done. There's a point here I have about this that is really important. No grumbling or complaining. You're going to be so tempted to grumble and complain. Do you know how? Listen, so I went through in the very beginning with an attitude of being grateful, of thanking God, of being patient, even though everything was falling apart. And then I started getting tired. And one day I was in my kitchen, I was trying to be grateful, I was praying, and I tossed the glass across the room. I was so pissed. I was like, I need to get out of this. This is ridiculous. And literally, it was like I knew I had to trust this process. And coming to a certain point where it was just wearing me down, I started grumbling, I started complaining, I started, for lack of better words, I started bitching about everything, because it was like, oh, here we go. And God's like, you got to work harder. You got to this, you got to that. And I'm like, how can I work harder? I'm already working so hard. Everything I do, they block. And I'm saying to God, I'm like, everything I do, they're blocking. There's a problem. There's a conflict. There's this, there's that. And do you know what happened to me? One day we were working and I was asking one of my kids to do something. And I've been speaking to them like, guys, stop fighting each other and whatever. And so I tell them, I'm like, stop fighting. If you have kids, you know how they are. They're constantly fighting. And you know also that there's no point in picking sides. They're going to rectify it themselves. But if you pick a side, you're the bad guy. So I'm like, hey, like, stop fighting. Like, you got to do what you got to do. Like, be happy. And she's like, Mom, I can't be happy every day. It's only natural. And I remember saying that to God. I was like, how am I going to be happy in this situation? You see how bad this is. And I stood there and I was like, shit, point taken. Point taken. The situation, I'm thinking we got to do the work anyway. We got to get it done. You're grumbling. You're not making it any better for it. You're just messing up the experience of us having to do it. And she had a valid point, but her valid point didn't change anything. There's no point in complaining about it because we're all fighting here to get this done. So you might as well just have a positive attitude and make light of it. It makes the work lighter when you are laughing and skipping and hopeful and peaceful and whatever about it. Whatever it is. There was a situation where I had to move and they were working specifically to force me to not move, to make it difficult for me. As soon as we started moving things, 4, 5, 6 cars started moving things in our way, blocking us, distracting us, doing all kinds of things, kids running up and down the hallway, all kinds of things. But if we weren't moving and nothing was happening, there was no one. It gets to the point where you see what's going on. What is the point of you rolling on the floor and crying about it and making it an issue? I just started playing music on my phone and relaxing and doing what it is that I had to do, because I got to do it anyways. It is what it is. Listening to the favorite things that I like listening to on YouTube and just going about my day, saying excuse me to gang stalkers in the hallway, doing my thing, because either way, I got to get the move done. So on this path, expect delays because you just don't know how to do it yet. When you get all your solutions together, now you know how to do it. When you get to the ocean, you know what to do. You've already passed the 7 stages behind you of the stream, of the desert, of the cups being knocked over, and now you can apply all that knowledge to everything else that you're doing. Otherwise, you know you're wasting your time. Now when you get to a new location, putting a cup up, putting a bowl, collecting rainwater, getting to a stream, you know that. So as you sit there maybe with your team and you're talking and you're like, we got to do something, everybody comes up with these solutions. You're like, this is a waste of time. Let's go straight to the ocean. Where's the nearest ocean? How do we get a moving truck? How do we get this? How do we do that? You understand how it is meant to be done. So your team might get demotivated and you're laughing because you're like, I've seen all of this before. And now you're explaining to people so calmly, like, this is the way that this has to go. And people are like, oh my God, you're so strong. No, you're battle tested. You are battle tested. That's all. You've been through all of this before. I see people starting their journey and they say, oh, I got the license plate of the car that's following me. How many of us know that that's a waste of time? But this is their cycle. This is their journey. So when you see people behind you taking their own journey, you're like, oh, they're just at their cup stage. They're collecting water. What is the point of telling them to find an ocean? Do you know how hard it is to, from where they're at, to walk to an ocean? Everybody has to take their journey. They have to go on their path because they must learn their own way. So the point of it is not to avoid the struggle or the conflict. The point of it is to find your path, to walk your path. And then you come to the point where, how do I walk my path? Do I walk my path grumbling and complaining and upset, or do I accept it as the path that I have to take and I just continue forward? Leaving being a T, you are a TI for a purpose. Where you're going, the success you're destined for, whatever it is you're meant to have, requires you to know how to be targeted. Requires you to know how to be targeted. Because you cannot have 7 excavation companies and an excavation company and 7 investment companies and don't think that gold diggers are not going to be attracted to you, that hackers are not going to be attracted to you, that thieves are not going to be attracted to you. Don't you for a second think so. I'm going to give you an example. I went to a store to buy a cell phone. And when I first went there, I said, I think my iPhone's hacked. And they're convinced iPhones cannot be hacked and blah, blah, blah. No problem. Trust me, we're engineers, we're this, whatever he said. I know for a fact it can't be done. I said, okay, no problem, fine. But I want a new phone. When I left there, people had came and approached him, I knew, and told him, who is this girl that someone would hack her iPhone? She's not a millionaire. She's not a billionaire. What does she have that people would hack her phone? It makes no sense. Why would anybody want to do that? So when I came back, he was regurgitating it. He's like, why would anybody want to hack you? That wouldn't happen. But he wasn't regurgitating it with confidence. He was regurgitating it with fear because he felt threatened. They didn't come nicely and ask that he do what he was going to do. The new phone they gave me had already been pre-hacked. It came in Portuguese, in Brazilian Portuguese. It had been pre-hacked, so they were previously in it. But he knew that the phone he was giving me had already been hacked and set up. And so he knew that despite me not being a millionaire or a billionaire, that my iPhone was hacked. He knew, and he didn't have a choice. He's trying to avoid trouble for himself. He's scared. He doesn't understand what this is. That's how it works. That is how it works. People know you're being targeted, and they are also being targeted. Me at this point, if I was in the beginning, heart would be racing. I would be scared. Oh my goodness, people are after me. But I'm seasoned. I'm seasoned. I'm just looking at him like, told you so. Told you. Now, in the beginning, in the middle of this, I would have been like, see, you guys don't listen. You guys don't da-da-da. But it's like, it's only human. Now I'm just like, hey, see, be safe, you know. And that's it. And you go about your day and then you navigate that situation until you get to the next situation, whatever used to make you panic in the beginning cannot make you panic anymore. You know you're targeted. You know this is going to happen. You know this is the walk. You know what's happening here. Why are we still having these heightened reactions all the time? No one can force you to not have a heightened reaction. It takes its time for it to go away because it fizzles out of you, it burns out of you. You just cannot be surprised by a cat jumping out of the corner every day at 6 p.m. How many days does it take person A versus person B to lose the surprise to that? And that's all that is. You're going to be upset at your stagnation. You're going to be upset at trying so hard and things not working because there's a period of time where things are not going to work. So for example, I say to, one of my kids, we can't do this or that. And she is so upset. She's so mad. And I'm trying to explain to her, it's not a good time. We're not in a good time right now. And she's upset. She's mad at me. She's cold. She's not talking to me. And I just I accept it, and I also understand it. Why? Because I've done the same thing to God. I've literally been like mad. And I'm sure God feels the same way. Like, I get it. I understand that you're upset, but it's not a good time. It is what it is. You gotta wait. I know you want to go out there and perform, let's say, but it's raining. There will be no crowd. No one's gonna stand in the rain. I mean, maybe if you're Michael Jackson or something, but there will be no crowd, not from where you're at. You have to hope for people to show up on a sunny day. So it doesn't make sense to do it right now. You're wasting your time and your energy. And if the more you waste your time and energy, the more demotivated you feel because there's the lack of results. But you gotta keep going. So you gotta take your time. You're gonna be upset over the stagnation. The stagnation is on purpose. It doesn't make sense right now. The problem is what it is. It cannot be worked in the way that it's working right, that you're trying to work it. So you gotta leave it. It's not gonna change anything, but you're on time. Anytime you're there is on time. That's always been my attitude in life. I hate to be late, but I'm like, if I'm late, I always tell myself maybe I avoided an accident on the highway, maybe I avoided this or avoided that. Whenever I get there is the right time to get there. That's it. I don't really bother. It took me, look, I've been going through this actively for 2 years. If I had gone through this for 2 years by just accepting it and laying back, and then I would have basically been one of those people who would have been no further in my 2 years. I invested 2 years to get through a problem. It's been an investment of my time, the 2 years. So if I can invest that time, I'm so grateful that I did. I'm so grateful that I invested that time instead of just like sitting there and like complaining or stagnating, because where I'm at today is so different than where I would have been. Instead of sitting through for 9 years, 14 years, and 7 years in, and you're still here complaining and helpless and doing this, I moved from this place to that place. Address the issues, address them one by one. But first, it starts with a mentality that I want out. You ever see someone who's desperate to get out? They'll do anything. They will do anything. You got to get to that point where you're desperate to get out. So now you're willing to try anything. You're willing to try any way that you can try to get out of this nightmare. With that attitude, that is the correct attitude. And that attitude will mellow out. It'll go from something that requires a lot of effort for you to do every day. Then it becomes a routine. And then you see incremental progress. The same way you first learned how to ride a bike and you had that moment of 5 seconds where you were in control of it and you started overthinking and then you fell into a ditch and you fell over. Part of the journey is getting back on the bike again. I don't know if anybody rides horses. I do. You're gonna fall. Thinking that you're never gonna fall off a horse is silly. At some point you're gonna fall. It's gonna be scary. This is a very powerful animal and you recognize that. And one of your challenges is gonna be getting back on the horse. That's why it's a good example, getting back on the horse. You gotta go to the same horse that tossed you and look at it and calm it down, and it's overcoming a fear and getting back on it. And depending on the kind of horse, it might toss you again. Everything is like that. I ski, it's like that. Oh damn it. You get over one hill and then you start getting attracted to bigger hills, and then you would think, oh, I can do it. If I do this hill, I can do that hill. No, it's always scary. It gets scarier and scarier and scarier. And it's just a matter of employing the same skills, learning how to control yourself, learning how to slow yourself down, taking it slow in the beginning, assessing the path ahead of you. Where could your ski get caught? People are falling in front of you. People are whizzing past you. Like, you always get those like a-hole skiers that are like, they don't care about other people. It's your first time on this hill, it's not theirs. So it's like that is literally the path. That is literally the path to everything, though. Gang stalking does not take a unique skill set that is different from the other skill sets you needed to navigate life up until this point. It's the same thing. It's persistence, it's walking through, it's staying the course. Worry is the wrong frequency because nothing grows there. Worrying is the frequency of cultivating problems. When you're in a place of worrying, you're helping problems grow. You're thinking of new things that could happen. You have to be in a place of building. You address issues as they turn up. You don't create them. That's not your job. Your job is to build. Your job is to push forward, pummel your way forward if that's what it takes. I'll give you an example. There was one time where every time I posted shorts, I would get like shorts that would get fake engagement. I sat back one day and posted like 12 shorts in a row. I was like, how comes I can't post shorts? I don't care. I'm posting a billion shorts. They're gonna have to put fake engagement on 12 shorts because I'm gonna keep posting the shorts. And that's that on that. And I'm gonna post the same shorts 12 times. I'm gonna multiply their work because I gotta work. I gotta get it done. Does it take any more time for me to post a short? No, it really doesn't. It takes 5 seconds to post it. So 5 seconds times 12. Now it took a minute to post 12 shorts and I'm out of there. That's their work. Now that they're occupied with something, let me go do something else. I go do that quickly. Now they gotta come and block this. I go do that quickly. Before I know it, I leave a trail of work behind me. It gets demotivating to do that. You gotta find the way and you gotta outwork your enemy. So worrying is wasting your time. I talked about the fact that there is no timer on this course because this is a learning course. Your job here is to learn. You gotta learn in this crash course to move forward to the other side. Everything that you learn here is only here to be taught to teach you how to have success. Because I promise you, the success that you feel that you want is gonna come with gang stalking. When that new wave of gang stalking comes, you better sit back and be like, oh, these idiots again. And that's it. No anxiety. Oh my God, why? No. Celebrities, they come into fame and they were not prepared for gang stalking. Can you even imagine you spent all this time being learning to be a celebrity, mastering your craft, and you never got the crash course on people following you everywhere, people hacking all your stuff, people, accountants stealing your money, not knowing how to navigate the world. Now you're isolated from people because you can't trust anyone. Can you imagine what they go through? You didn't think about that. The people that are trained for this before they get into it. Presidents on the campaign trail, they realize that people are shooting at them. They realize people don't want them alive. Who else would I say would be trained for this? If you're born into a royal family, if you're born into a celebrity family, then you would know you can't just make friends. You can't just go to any school. How can you go to a normal school with normal kids? You got to go to a school with other people who have your concerns. In my past life, I used to work in an industry where we had to make accommodations for people who were politically exposed in any way. So what I mean by that is, do you have a family member who is a politician or who is famous? If the answer to that was yes, I had to relinquish that file. I couldn't do it. They had to go to a special department. Why? Because they're an exposed person. So being a celebrity, being born into these families, you learn how to deal with being an exposed person because you know that people are after you. So being a TI, stop trying to be a normal person. That life is done. You got to learn how to be an exposed person. What does that mean? I can't use the same email that is public for my banking. I can't use the same email that is this for that. I can't use this for that. I got to do, like, you got to rework everything. That's what you're being taught here. And eventually you get to the point where it forces your hand to learn. You're going to learn it one way or the other. One of the points I have here is you need to emancipate yourself mentally. And what I mean by emancipate yourself mentally is, I mean, like, you need to stop holding yourself back mentally in ways that are not benefiting you. What does that mean? You're stagnating yourself and your power by choosing what you want to believe or not, by choosing a belief, by cherry picking beliefs. There is no point to cherry pick what you believe. You got to believe what's true. You got to believe what's in front of you. You don't want to believe that this is spiritual. But how can you explain the things that are happening here? You must sit back with yourself and you must say, how comes they can track me without a phone? How comes they can do this? How did they find this thing out that logically they should never be able to? Accept it, that there is something spiritual happening here. Sorry, I'm burning sage and it is smoking up the entire place. You must accept that there's something happening here beyond what you can understand. And then you can address what is in front of you. We do not get to choose what the truth is. And I was a very secular person. I was a person who worked in finance. I was a person who believes effort makes things happen. I was a person of extreme logic. I have become a new person because I am adapting to the information in front of me. This is my path. I cannot deny the things that are happening, so I'm flowing with it. It has made all the difference in my life. I accept it. Did I really believe people were psychic? I don't know, I'm not sure. Did I really believe, would I have been a person to believe someone was a targeted individual before? I'm going to tell you, in the beginning, I didn't bother telling people because I'm like, no one's going to believe this. It sounds insane. This sounds crazy. Even me giving advice here, when I give spiritual advice, I'm like, no one's going to believe this. People are going to think. I remember going through this and I'm like, every single day, multiple times a day, I'm like, no one is going to believe me. No one's going to believe this. But to be honest with you, then I found a whole targeted community out there, multiple people out there saying the same thing in all countries. Okay, so I'm not crazy and this is what's happening. I've never thought I was crazy. I know I'm not crazy. I've never even entertained that idea. That's why I've never gotten any help. I don't care. I don't need the validation of other people believing it. I need me taking it seriously, that there is something here beyond what I can see. I don't believe it's military weapons. I don't believe it's any of that. I believe it's spiritual. So because I took the spiritual path, I blocked it spiritually. I'm not supposed to look like this at all. This cold is gonna be gone as soon as I get off camera, because this is energetic stuff. Every day, right before I get on camera, it starts. And every day I clean it off. Every day. They're the same things that repeat all the time. Every day, my cats are happy, healthy, amazing. As soon as I get on camera to give some messages, the cats start screaming and going crazy. How many coincidences? This is one of, or two of, a million examples. How many coincidences does one need to know? How many coincidences do you want to see to know? It eventually comes to the point where if somebody lives with you and somebody's around you and they don't see these coincidences, they are being willfully blind, or there's spell work over them or something, because they see it. They definitely see it. And then sometimes they revert back to the old way of thinking, because sometimes we don't want to accept what's in front of us. This is a spiritual path and it needs spiritual means to go through it. If you accept it as a spiritual path, you start seeing doors unlocked that were locked before. Only you can free yourself mentally. And just remember, People who are giving you solutions are not going to give you the keys to unlock yourself. They love to push the agenda of Jesus. They love to push that it is military, that you're on a government watch list and all of this. They love to push these things because they know that as long as you avoid the spiritual path, you cannot get through. And the people that I have seen that have gotten through it are witches themselves, are people who practice spiritually, are all of that. They're the ones that are calm. Everybody else is begging to be released and they're suffering, and it's those people that are walking through. And I had to sit and say to myself, well, if somebody else is psychic, what is V2K? If they're speaking to you with V2K, maybe you can speak to them back. Try talking to them. Try having a conversation in your head. Try doing it with other people. Try other things. And you will notice that there's something with you. There's something up with you. You'll notice that you see things that other people don't see. You can do things that other people don't do. That is your spiritual path. If you don't accept it, you get stuck here. Then you're 14 years a TI, 10 years a TI, 30 years a TI. I'm 2 years a TI. And this year is not going to be done without me not being identifying. Actually, to be honest, I don't identify as being a TI anymore. I don't even want to go into all of those details, but this year is not going to end because I've learned too much. I've come too far. I'm way too strong. And there's only a certain amount of time that this can go. But this year will not finish one way or the other without this ending. One way or the other. Accept the spiritual walk. If you do not accept the spiritual walk, where you're going, you cannot go. You haven't mastered being a TI. How can you get success? Because if I had 7 properties, investment properties, and 1 excavation company, if I had that, why would I go back to just having that? I want 25. I want more. I have survived through hell. If I can make it through hell, I can make it through anything. People are gonna laugh and they're like, oh my God, your blah, blah, blah didn't happen. You're gonna sit there, you're gonna stand there with your hands in your pocket, you're gonna look at them and you're like, do you know what I've been through? This is nothing. I don't care. They'll be like, oh, this and this happened, and aren't you sad and aren't you what? You're like, what? I've gone through hell. I have faced demons, real demons in real life. I don't care. And they're gonna look at you like you're a superhuman because you are. If you make it through this, you're a superhuman. There are some people here that were supposed to be in the music industry, in Hollywood in some way, a singer, a rapper, this or that, and they got stagnated before they made it through. But they're truly talented. Do you really think you want to go to that demonic place before you pass this level? If you don't even know how to be gang stalked and lose little to nothing, why do you want to learn what it's like to lose everything? Look up Sharon Stone. I just saw something. She's gone completely bankrupt. Look at this person and that person. Look at JLo right now, losing a marriage, a house on the market that she can't sell. You're not going to get buyers for these homes, a $62 million home overnight. Look at people that are losing everything. If you do not know how to lose your little apartment and your little job, you want to know what it's like to lose a $62 million house because it costs you $3 million a month to carry? I don't know. I'm assuming. No, you don't. You don't want to go through that. A tour that's failing, the press being against you, not being able to generate income. You want to know how to deal with that pressure. You want to be released over there, but you can't handle over here. Every little thing gives you a fright. You got to have balls of steel. You got to be able to stand in war, to stand on the presidential platform. You got to be able to duck a bullet at 3 p.m. and get back on the platform at 6 p.m. in another state. If this is what you want to live this life or you want to remain a TI. Life is cycles. You got to graduate. You don't want to do the work. You don't want to do the homework. You don't want to open the book. You don't want to write the test. You don't want to show up. You don't want to do the project. All of it's work. And then you just want to get there on the podium. And how? Because when you get on the podium and you get the certificate and you go to the company, you don't know how to do what you're supposed to do. You don't even know how to do an interview. You don't even know how to answer the questions from the interview. You haven't cracked the book. So ask yourself, how much did I fight to get out of here? Because if you haven't put up any fight, if you haven't done the work, if you haven't felt the feelings, if you haven't felt defeated, if you haven't tried a million times, if you haven't been like Thomas Edison and done 1,000 attempts at a light bulb, then how can you get there? 1,000 attempts, you think it's a joke? Try doing 100 attempts and seeing how demotivated you feel. 1,000 attempts means someone who said, I'm gonna die trying. So that is your agenda. I am going to die trying to get out of here. I never accept this as my reality. One day I am going to get out of here. I don't know when, I don't know how, and I don't care. I will do so by improving upon everything that I've learned incrementally. The internet has all of this knowledge. I'm going to take this knowledge, I'm going to rework it, I'm going to build upon it, I'm going to move forward. That's it. It's a step-by-step process of getting out of here. You got to do it. You went to the police. Some of us have hired lawyers. Some people have done this. Even the lawyer will gang stalk you. Even the doctor will gang stalk you. Everywhere you go, there's something's gonna happen. So now you just got to navigate. You don't think when a celebrity goes to a doctor, the doctor goes home and tells their family, and they open up their medical file and they do this and they do that and whatever. Like, no one can be trusted. It's almost like you have to have documents that people, waivers and confidentiality agreements that they sign before you go to see them. Because why should a doctor do something like that? Why should a lawyer do that? That's life. Now you got to get recommendations for people for things. Who can you use? Who is known in the industry? You go to Hollywood, even the dentist wants to be a celebrity. The garbage man wants to be a celebrity. Everybody wants to exploit something. So you become accustomed to the way it goes. It's like, this is the path. You have to be energetically in more than one place at once. So you gotta be, you know how it is when you're a TI. You have to be hopeful. You have to be resilient. There are times it's gonna require you to be aggressive. There are times it's gonna require you to be soft. There's times that you're gonna require to be forgiving. There's times that you're going to require multiple things. Energetically, you got to be able to switch between personalities, between roles really quickly, because that is what it demands of you. Any vibration that is a waste of energy, like aggression that is uncontrollable, that is not working towards a specific target, or worrying, or depression, before the work can start, you must master getting over that. The worry, the anxiety, all of it, you must master all of it to find hope. When I used to go outside, it took months to master the anxiety, getting over the anxiety of being gang stalked. And then after I completely mastered it, one day I felt a bit of anxiety out of nowhere, and I realized, oh, this is not mine. Because physically I'm in the space, there's only one person here gang stalking me for the day, and this person's not scary at all. In fact, this person looks nervous of me, but the anxiety is an energy that is being projected to you. It is not coming from inside, because all this is a weird freaking person following you around. They're sending the anxiety all day, all day, all day, and you got to clean it off. It's energetic. It's energetic. So you have to address things energetically. It's your energy. I am in an energy of hope. I'm in an energy of seeing results. I'm in an energy of peace. I'm in an energy of calm. I'm in an energy of not caring. In order to get to that energy, I had to go through the energy of laughing everything off, to the point that people thought, like, are you stupid? Do you not see the danger? Are you not scared? No, I see all of it. But if I look at it too hard, if I take it too realistically, if I forge down this path too much, I am going to get to that point where I'm going to be scared of my own shadow. I have to be a person who says, who cares? Who gives a shit? Who cares? You're following me. Okay, you're following me. What's that going to do? I have to get to that point. Past getting to that point, I get over saying, oh, who gives it? I get over it. Now I'm just like, whatever, they're following me. I got to do what I got to do. It's not going to change. It's not going to change anything. So you just walk through. But you got to get yourself there with delusion. What other people would call delusion. You got to be delusional. They're going to tell you no one's ever graduated or beat the program. Okay, no one ever flew a plane before. No one ever made an electric car. No one ever invented electricity. No one ever built a bridge. So, why can't it be you? Why? Why not? Why, if you told yourself that it's going to be you, that it can't be you? That's how anybody ever got anything done, was first with a decision, then with a vibration, making your vibration match your decision, and then with the correct vibration, you take the correct actions because you are persistent. I'm bullheaded about this thing. And I'm willing to lose everything and everyone that stands in my way. And I'm willing to knock anything down because I am not staying here. And I'm not there where I was before. What used to be here is a different place. Energetically, I'm out of there. I'm gone. That's how it works. You decide, I'm losing weight. I'm 500 pounds and I'm losing weight. And people are like, oh, it's going to take 2 years. It's going to be so hard. Who asked them that question? You didn't even ask for this advice. So anyway, blocked. I'm losing weight. All I do day to day, every day, is align myself with that decision because I'm sick and tired of it. And I sit there and I'm looking at pictures of people who look amazing like I want to look, and I go to the store and I'm touching the clothes and I know I'm going to get there, and I get obsessed. And every single thing I do is towards this end. I am obsessed. I am possessed with this idea of losing weight. Fried foods are no longer attractive to me. I start taking I don't want to eat meat anymore. I don't want to do this. I start getting to that point, and before I know it, I look in the mirror and I'm at the weight that I want to be at. Yeah, it's a year later. Yeah, it's 2 years later. And people are like, how did you lose all that weight? How did you lose 100 pounds in a year? Because I wasn't looking up from my work. I became obsessed. I became fixated. So that when people came around me and they were talking about, oh my God, it's good, the last 50 pounds is the hardest and whatever, I didn't hear a damn thing. I didn't hear anything. All I thought is, how many calories did I eat today? How many steps did I take today? What am I gonna do for my meal prep tomorrow? But that's, my mind has come into a habit of forward moving thoughts. When I see things on the internet that talk about no one's ever left the program and this and that and the third, it doesn't even affect me vibrationally because I've seen too many results. There comes a point where you have gotten so far in that even if you wanted to move or you wanted to regress, you wanted to give up, you wanted to look back, you can't. It's just too much progress to sacrifice. I am so deep in that I can see the light at the end. I can feel it. I can touch it now. I'm telling you the truth. I can feel it. When I was younger and I had to learn to drive, I failed my driving test twice. The first time they said it was expected, so they're like, you're gonna fail the first one, don't worry about it. The second one I failed and I was like panicked. I was like, oh my God, what if I can never drive? And I got obsessed. And then I didn't have money at the time to pay for driving lessons. So I would pay different people $25 to sit in their car to let me drive their car. And then I remember I literally dated someone because they had a car so I could drive their car. So they could help me learn how to drive and they would teach me how to drive. And it was just like, that's how fixated I was, because I'm like, I can't do it. And I used to be on the bus and I used to look at people. You know what was worse? I used to take the bus with this one Asian girl, and she was so pretty and she used to dress so nice to go to work. We both worked downtown and we were corporate and we came from the same area. And every day she was on the bus and she looked so amazing. And one day I looked out the window and this friggin' girl's in a car. And I was like, oh my God. And I was going through all my driving lessons and everything. I was like, oh my God, she got her car. And it was 2 or 3 times I saw her in the car driving to work or coming from work, one or the other. And I kept looking at her and I'm like, oh my God, she got her car. All of this just made it more that I wanted this car. I had the money for the car. I bought my first car cash. I had the money for the car. That was not in the way. It was the freaking license. And I went through all of this, and I remember I started dreaming about driving by myself, not with an instructor, not with someone in the car. I started dreaming about it. And I remember In my dream, it was so vivid. I was like, I can touch it. I feel it now. I feel the vibration of what it's like driving this car. I feel it. I feel myself in the car. I feel myself navigating. And the most important, and this is a really important story, the most important part of feeling what it was like driving the car, anybody who can drive knows that you become one with your car. So it's not like you're driving something outside of you. As you turn the steering wheel, you can gauge how much distance is between you and the next car. You can gauge. So it's almost like if you're driving your car, it's almost like you crashed. So it's like, and I hope people can understand what I'm saying. Like you merge with the car, like in your mind, like so you can, you can feel it energetically where you're gonna go. You can reverse park. You can do all of that. That was a feeling that I didn't have in the real car because I was scared of it as a machine. I was scared. I was separated from the car. And in my dream, I felt myself driving where I was merged. I could feel myself where I wasn't scared of the car. I was the one in control. The next day, the next time, I was eager to get another time to drive, and I started practicing that feeling of not worrying so much about where the pavement is or if the tree's there, if another, just merging myself with the car, getting that feeling. And as I practiced that feeling, that time I passed. And literally, I was probably driving for not very long. A friend came to see me and she asked me, she's like, how long have you been driving? And I was like, not very long. She's like, you drive like an experienced driver. You drive like you've been driving for years. Got into an accident because I was a bit too aggressive in the car. And my dad warned me. He's like, you're driving now. I know you're going to want to do tricks. You want to go fast. Don't do it. Because didn't listen. Because, you know, now I'm a race car driver. I can do everything. I've had to mellow out. Obviously, we all did. But that is the feeling of, it's the same process. I've been a salesperson my entire life, and you know, as you're talking to someone, presenting a solution, you're walking them down that path, you can feel when they're ready to sign. You can feel when the checkbook's going to come out because you've practiced that vibration long enough. You know the signs. So I can tell you, I'm out of here. Energetically, I'm already out of here. I know it, they know it, because I can feel it. I feel it. I don't need to dream about it. I don't need to, I feel it. I go outside, I look all around me, and I'm like, it's here, it happened. And I could only say to God, like, wow, we did it. We completed this cycle. I always saw it as a cycle. I never saw it as a life sentence. That is going to be your first thing. It's a life sentence if you tell yourself, because that's what they tell you, because they want you in that vibration. This is a cycle. I just got to navigate this. But I navigate this with the mindset that this is going to happen again. Because it happens. It happens. It's out there. It's going to happen again. Because now I don't just want one of what I lost. I don't want one store. I don't just want one thing. I want all of it. Because I've been through hell. Spiritually, when you go through gang stalking, they open a portal in your life, and it's literally they're opening the portal to hell in your life. That's why it feels like you're walking through hell. That's why there's nothing but suffering here. That's why so many demonic entities have access to you. You got to get out of that portal. As they see you going towards the exit, they want to cling on to you, not just because they want you to stay. They want to come with you. They're in hell. They're in hell. The people gang stalking you exist in a paradigm that you were not in, that you came in and found them in. They live in this reality of seeing the world differently than the rest. We see the world differently. We know evil exists. We know that somebody sees a cashier, but we see a gang stalker. We know what is below the surface that other people don't see. That paradigm, you don't have to stay here. You could know that it's possible for cashiers to be gang stalkers, but you could get out of here too. So that the paradigm shifts. So now as you're gang stalked, when you're out of that shift, when you're out of here, now that you see that paradigm shift around you, you realize to yourself like, oh, yeah, they're gang stalking me, but this is a cashier. And what is she gonna do? She's not gonna slap me. She's not gonna punch me. She can't do anything to me. So what is she gonna do? You just walk through. You let her do her thing and you walk through. Is it gonna make a difference to your day? No. You're gonna have somebody be weird and follow you around, and then you're gonna go to the next thing in your day and the next thing. That was just a distraction. That was just an illusion. That was just nonsense. That is not even worth reporting. There's no point to that. What is really important is why you're not looking for new jobs, why you're not pursuing your passions, why you're not developing your skills, why you're not waking up early enough, why you're not saving money, why you're not doing the things that's the important stuff. Followed around on the street and in the car. This doesn't change the price of rice in China. Somebody telling you you're fat, you're ugly, you're this, you're that, doesn't change anything in your world. It doesn't make a difference. The things that make a difference are things that are going to impact your real life, your enjoyment in life. You're going to say, well, I'm in my house and they come in here and they do this and that. Well, I have advice on that and some playlists on my channel, how you deal with that energetically. There's advice there on everything. So you can literally Google or YouTube or TikTok how to stop energy from entering my home. You're going to have 2,000 videos come up. That is 2,000 opportunities to try 2,000 solutions. That's what I did. How to energetically block a home, how to do a back to sender, how to do this, do that. So many people are trying to build platforms and get engagement from giving good information, and you can be part of their audience and learn from them, and you try it and it doesn't work and you try something else, but it might work. It might work a little bit. It might work for a little bit. It might work for a week. And now you're like, oh, it did work. So let me go back and rework that because that has something in it that works. But let me try something and put something else on top of it. You take your personal journey, your personal walk, and you walk through with it. Now you know how to block. Little by little, you figure out how to block. You get ideas, another idea and another idea and another idea and another idea. And then you get to that point, you learn how to do it. I'm going to leave it here because actually, no, I can't. I can't leave it here because there are some things that are too important, actually. I can't. Okay. This is really important. You have to learn how to regenerate your energy every day. If you cannot regenerate your energy, think about X-Men and think about how Wolverine heals and think about what would happen if Wolverine did not heal. He would succumb to battle wounds. He would succumb to literally like stab wounds. You gotta energetically regenerate every day. Regeneration looks like that feeling of hope. They're gonna beat that out of you. You know that. We all know that. They're gonna beat it out of you. You have to regenerate that feeling. You gotta get back to the path of, I went to sleep tonight and I cried myself to sleep. I was so pissed off. I was punching the air. I was mad. I prayed and I was angry and I told God, please, I don't want this to happen again. And you wake up in the morning, and I give this as an example. The day before you were knocked off of the horse, you sprained your ankle, you had to put it on ice, didn't break it, and your trainers are worried that you're not going to show up, and they get to the stable at 5 a.m. and they see you there, possibly grumbling. I'm not going to tell you no because we're not supposed to grumble, but sometimes it's the phase you're in. Possibly grumbling, bitching at that same horse, grooming it because you know today you got to get back on it again. And you're going to get to that point where you're like, it's going to toss me again. And you're like, oh my God, this horse doesn't like me and I fight this horse all the time. But other people have peaceful horses and they don't even want to ride their horse. Look at people that are not gang stock. What do we consider? I'm not saying we consider them lazy, but you're like, if I had your situation, how much further would I be in life? But when you get out of here and you get peaceful horses and you learn to ride on a horrible horse, on an aggressive horse, people are going to be like, her and this horse are doing backflips. How is this possible? Because I went through hell. I've been through hell. I know how to navigate through hell. But you got to navigate through hell where you come out with the attitude not of narrowly escaping and being scared of going back. You got to get through hell where you learn how to get through hell. And so hell is just like, it's just hell. It's another place. So when someone opens up another portal on you and they put you through hell on earth, you're like, oh, where is my toolbox of getting through hell? Okay, I need motivation, I need patience, I need hope, I need discipline, I need prayer. And this is how I'm gonna walk myself right on out of hell. That's where you get to. You got a toolbox. I know how to swim, so I can surf. I know how to surf, so maybe I can be a sailor. I can walk through all of this and evolve out of this chaos, find good out of this chaos. People will be like, how did you get here? I only got here because I survived hell. You gotta learn to regenerate every day. Every day you wake up in a new energy that says, I'm gonna stand up again. I know yesterday was horrible, but I'm gonna stand up. Because you get to a point where you start demotivating the people that are trying to motivate you. Because they know, people have been after you. There's 365 days in 1 year. 2 years is just short of 800 days. If somebody has been going at you for 800 days straight, and every day out of the 800 days you showed up, don't you think they're tired of coming up against you? They've lost the vision of beating you, because all it takes to win is just to never give up. It's not the physical trophy or running across. All it takes is just not stopping. You have not lost if you did not stop. You just got to keep going, and eventually something has to crash. Eventually something has to crash. They run out of resources. The people who are paying them lose hope. The people who are paying them know that this is not going to happen anymore. The people who are helping them lose faith in it. They stop being able to motivate people, because in this fight you stop looking like a TI. You start looking like you take care of yourself. You look fresh, you look happy, you look peaceful. You're having beautiful conversations with people on the street. They're like, wait a minute, we gang stalked this person for 2 years and this person's not even afraid. What the hell is going on here? Who the hell is going to want to sign up for this battle over and over and over? 3 years now, this person's showing progress. They're learning things. They have a YouTube page. They're exposing us, and it's the truth. What is going on here? I don't want to be a part of this anymore. That's how people are going to be. So the number of people gang stalking you has to dwindle, because how can we keep pouring money down the drain? How can we keep putting our time and effort? Every time someone says something horrible about me, I learn to love it. They said I have a big nose. I've been knowing that my whole life. Like, how are we now gonna get here? Tell me something new. This is not new. When I was fat, they were like, oh, you're fat. Yeah, I know. So every day I gotta remind them that I'm fat. I'm gonna beat you to the punch on that one. Of all the things that I have to do in the day, I cannot, like, insecurity about something that is true. Who cares? They don't actually care that you have a big nose. They don't care that you're fat. They don't care if you're black. They don't care if you're purple. They don't care if you're Jewish. They don't care. Everybody gets gang stalked equally. So for you to feel some insecurity and defend this is a waste of your time, because they don't care. In their heart, they think you're pretty. In their heart, they think you're smart. In their heart, they think you're strong. In their heart, they admire you. They're not allowed to say that. Just walk your journey, walk your path, do whatever you got to do. This is mind over matter, and it means showing up every day with the same attitude. Showing up mad, showing up glad, showing up hungry, showing up broke, showing up peaceful. Just showing up and doing the work and walking through. It gets easier if you're happy. It gets easier if you're motivated, if you're light of heart, if you have peace. But if you don't, then you don't. Life happens. You pray about it. You learn new skills. You start employing strategy, not just doing things to do things, but you're like, I did this, I did that, I got blocked that way, but what if I did it this way instead? And what if I added this layer and I added that layer? And you start working out a sequence, and eventually it starts working out. You stay here long enough and you ignore enough nonsense, because your focus, your obsession, your fixation is on getting out of here. You start getting patience with yourself because you can see things working incrementally. You always tell yourself you're going to do things a minimum of 100 times, a minimum of 500 times, a minimum of 1,000 times. And if you got to check it off one by one every day, and that motivates you that you just showed up another day and another day and another day and another day, like a prisoner digging themselves out with a spoon every day, 20 minutes a night, then eventually you get to the point where what was just one spoon is like a whole tunnel. And that's all it is. That's how you go along your journey. You do not need help here because all help will be attacked. This is a personal journey. You're perfecting your formula. You put God first. You put God always. You accept your spiritual path. And I want to say, you get to a point where you fuse with spirit. Whatever energy that has been helping you and motivating you, you pick up its personality, because that's the spirit that is coaching you without your knowledge, whether you want to accept that spirits are here or not. I'm not here to convince anyone of that, but I'm here to tell you, when you experience jealousy, when you experience, not in yourself, but people projecting towards you, when you experience jealousy, when you experience hate, when you experience anger, that is, what do we all say? It's satanic. We say it's demonic because we felt it, and that's what it felt like. We all know that. So what is the spirit of love, of hope, of peace? It is the opposite of those feelings. And if those feelings are satanic and demonic, then these feelings that you're looking forward to, these are angelic feelings. And so if demons are coming after you with hatred and gang stalking and bullying and attacks that are so hateful that you can feel how hateful it is, when you feel the joy and the peace and the hope, you're feeling angels. That is the feeling of angelic forces. That is the feeling of light. So you are there with those feelings, and as you embrace those feelings more and more, as you align with these feelings more and more, as you take a hold of these feelings more and more, you begin fusing with angelic forces. You must pick, am I going to stay in depression and anxiety and fear, or am I going to be hopeful and peaceful and joyful? You got to choose it though. Choose it on bad days. Choose it on days you lost something. Choose it on days where things... Listen, if you think that you are not going to get results by being delusional, you have to be delusional to get results in life. Anybody. Michael Jordan had no idea that he was Michael Jordan when he was a kid practicing in his backyard. Do you think he knew he was going to be a billionaire? Do you think he... What? And that's why his quotes are famous. He said, every shot that you don't take is a shot that you can't... I don't know what it is. I'm going to find it. But it's like taking... If you don't take the shot, you cannot get it in the basket. If you don't keep making songs, you can't get a hit. If you don't keep creating content, you can't go viral. If you don't keep showing up, things can't happen. Why I show up here every day. There was a point where my engagement was so bad, so bad. I was demotivated that day. I was annoyed, not demotivated. I'm not gonna lie. I was annoyed. I was like, God damn it. They finally mess with my channel. And I remember I came on the next day and I said, well, I'm gonna have to talk to myself for a few months. And in my head, I was like, I'm gonna have to talk to myself for 2 months. I don't know why I said 2 months in my head, but I just kept showing up and doing my thing every day regardless. I was talking to myself. There was no engagement. Probably not the right engagement. Who knew? I just kept showing up. And that's what you have to do a lot of the time. Sometimes you just got to keep showing up. That's it. Just keep making the content. And then you're going to talk to creators and they're going to say, well, it took me 15 years. And you're like, holy crap. They're laughing at you. They're like, do you know how bad engagement is? You got to fail your way. You got to exhaust your way. You gotta bang your head against the wall your way. I would be lying to you if I told you I didn't go through those phases. If anybody comes here and tells you that you're not gonna want to wish your gang stalkers dead. They're lying. Doesn't matter how good of a person you are. This is part of the path. All of it is part of the path. You got to experience all of it, but it gets easier. It gets easier with time and persistence. What started off difficult, it just gets easier. That's all it is. It changes. It gets easier. You walk through and you learn how to do the things that you're supposed to do. That's all. You have to accept it as a spiritual path. That's where I'm going to leave it. Because if I don't leave it there, I'm going to be giving you false hope. Without spirit guides that feel like these positive feelings that I'm telling you, they feel like encouragement. What does God feel like? God feels to me like encouragement. God feels to me like unconditional love. God feels to me like understanding. God feels to me like never being abandoned. If there's nothing else I know before I go to bed at night, is that God is not giving up on me. No matter how many mistakes I make, no matter how many times I stumble, no matter how many times we have to reroute, God is not giving up on me, and we're going to get there. And there is encouragement. And if I worry, God's like, why are you worrying? We're going to get there. This is on the path. You're thinking, well, are we failing because it's not working? And God's like, no, you're actually closer than you think. Every time you fall off of the bike, you're closer than you think. Every time it doesn't work, you're closer than you think. You're one step closer. Every time you're aggravated, you're one step closer. Do you know this is how I've learned everything is with aggravation, is with tears of frustration. It's with anguish, and there's been no one fighting against me. It's been me against me in those times. There was no one I could say was behind the computer somewhere that was hacking me or do. It was me against me, and I had to learn. When I got my license for certain things in the industry that I used to work in, it was me at 2 a.m. in the morning with the internet cutting off. With the internet cutting off right before I get to like my last 3 questions and I couldn't complete it. It's always been you against you, regardless of how the opposition presents itself, no matter what it is. And don't think that the successful people had a cakewalk. When they come on here and they give the motivational speeches and all that, those are not the doers. Those are people that are putting great content together. The doers are doing. The doers are working. The doers have no time. Mark Zuckerberg has no time to create content on how to be a winner. He is battling problems. He is battling an app that is global, that supports billions of accounts, going down for 3 hours. He cannot sleep properly. He has to wake up early. He cannot take vacations like normal people. He doesn't have days off. He doesn't get to sleep in. That's what it's like being a doer. Not easy. Not fun. Not always. You have wins, and in the middle of the celebration, someone comes and whispers something in your ear, and here comes another problem to navigate. That's what it's like being a billionaire. Having a billion problems. Having a billion tax issues. Having a billion people. Elon Musk, your private jet is being tracked, and they're releasing the information publicly. You think he has enough money for lawyers? How's that going to stop the hackers? So think about it like that. Is it going to end? No. And maybe straddle yourself to your spiritual guides. Like, and I'm not just talking, and actually you're not getting out of here until you do that. That's part of the path. I've talked about spiritual inheritances. Part of why they can't steal your spiritual inheritance is because it takes straddling to a spirit guide. While I'm here, I might as well talk about it because that's something that I had to talk about anyway. Let me explain something about spirit guides. The reason they call it a spirit guide or your higher self is because it actually is you. It's the spirit version of you. If you were to have the ability, and you do, if you're being gang stalked like this, you do have the ability. You must accept that you do have the ability to get to know a spirit guide like the same way you get to know a person, in a very physical way. At first, you're going to think you're losing your mind, but you do. So You start meeting them and you start noticing that you guys have the same characteristics. You're like, you like the same things. You don't like the same things. You behave the same way. You have the same attitude. You're the same thing. They're like the Super Saiyan version of you. And all you have to do is crack yourself into them. Think about this. There is a spiritual version of you out there. It's probably in the room with you right now, whether or not you acknowledge it or not, or whether you've opened yourself to it. Think about the energy that comes to you, that makes you sick, that gives you physical pain. If you were able to see energy, you would see that energy coming in, and you would have the opportunity to clean or deflect that energy before it came in. Whether you can see it or not doesn't matter. You can tell the energy is here by sometimes seeing the results of it. So I get this cold, I know energy has been sent towards me, I know I got to clean it off. Simple as that. But if you had the ability to see the energy of hope, to see just the same way you see a spiritual attack come in, or what we call energetic attacks, if you could see that, come in, then you can also see the hope, and you can also see the love. You can also see the peace, and you can also see the patience, let's say. So now, there is an energy guiding you towards this. Why am I saying that? Because there are people being gang stalked that cannot see that they're being gang stalked. And you were being gang stalked before you could see you were being gang stalked. That's why after you identify, you ask somebody, when did my gang stalking start? They'll say 2020, but I noticed a lot of weird stuff before, so I can't tell. All that happened is your eyes were closed before, but in 2020, your eyes opened. That's what happened. So some people can go far back and they could say from my 13th birthday, my whole life. I want to suggest to you that there were energies that knew who you were before you knew who you were your entire life, and they've been attacking you. I'm going to try to marry a reality-based thinking with a spiritual-based thinking to merge the two so people can understand what I mean. In a reality-based way, you've been always felt rejected from groups, always felt weird in friendships. People always have an issue with you. There's always somebody hating on you, fighting you back. Like, there's always something. You're like, why? Because they see something in you that you don't see in yourself, because they keep beating down on you. Because the audacity to tell you that you're beautiful, the audacity to tell you that you're a good person, the audacity to tell you you're compassionate and beautiful and nice, and things always work out for you, and you're skilled. Because if we boost your confidence, you might actually fly off. You might actually sail off and leave us back here. We want to beat you down. You know what they're going to say? I would tell you that, but I don't want your head to get big. No, they don't want you to get big. Because they know you're a humble person. Your head's probably not going to be big. But who are they to say that your head shouldn't get big? So they've seen this energy on you before. You just don't see this energy because you've allowed people to beat you down, beat down your confidence and your self-esteem and your sense of self-worth. Let me see if I have them today. They send me grays every day energetically, and it goes away by itself. So there was a lot more yesterday than there is today, if you look at it, okay? Because I look young for my age. So when they gang stalk me, somebody who's 40 is gonna tell me they're 70 years old, as if they're trying, I don't know, I don't get what they're trying to do with it. If they're trying to make it like, say that you're an older age but you look younger. I'm not sure what the strategy behind that one is, because I don't know what that. I get a lot of ads on clothes for old ladies or old lady style or whatever. I get a lot of crap like that, like they're trying to tell me that I'm an old lady. How does that work if I'm not? It's like, it's delusional. I don't know who picked the old lady thing as the insecurity. They should have picked something closer to home, because that strategy, that one's dumb. I don't know. But it's like stuff like that. People are gonna like look for insecurities and try to exploit it. And then one of the things they try to do to help is the gray hairs. I don't dye it anymore because I don't care. I'm like, it's gonna go away by itself, one. Two, I'm gonna leave the gray hairs. And let's see if that makes anybody feel better. It doesn't. It doesn't make a difference. People are gonna talk about your skin or your black. In the beginning of gang stalking, everybody wanted to convince me about racism. One of the things I do not care about is race. I don't care. I feel like good with everybody. I talk to everybody. I open up to everybody. I'm not gonna pick being gang stalked all of a sudden to feel like people are racist against me. I didn't feel it before. I don't feel it now. And I'm not saying racism doesn't exist. I'm just saying I don't care. I could be friends with anyone. I like everyone. Everyone likes me. So when they're like, oh, this is happening to you because you're black, I'm like, no, it's not. Everybody's getting it. This is equal opportunity. Gang stalking is equal opportunity. Everybody could get gang stalked. They have these things where they want to make it race based, like, oh, black people are this, or white people are that, or purple people are that. And it's just like, no. And I don't care. I genuinely don't care. So if you genuinely don't care and it doesn't affect you, eventually they put it away, because what are they going to say? What are they going to say? Everybody used to connect to me, or I had a store. Everybody connects to me. Everybody comes to me. I talk to everybody. I love everybody. Like, I enjoy all kinds of people, and you know it when you meet me. It's not like, you know it when you meet me. The people have been told things and they meet me and they're like, whoa, and you can see it. Don't choose now to have these problems that you never had before. You don't care about it. You think spirit has a race? You think God has a race? That's a human thing, and it was never meant for, that was like an environmental thing that happened. If you spend time in a dark country, if I go to a country where closer to the equator, I'm going to be 3 shades darker. If I get to a colder country, I'm going to get lighter. It's just how it works. If people stay and have babies in places that are close to the sun, they're going to get sunburned, and they're going to get more, their body's going to adapt to that heat. That's it. When I go see family back home, it takes me a while to adapt to the dense air. I got to learn how to breathe. It's not a black thing. They'll be like, oh, black people should breathe in denser air, hotter climates. No, I got to adapt again. It's not a race thing. People took the race thing. They took the borders of their country. They took these allegiances. They took these religious things, and they made it where they could divide. I love all religions. I read all of them. I learn about all of them. I utilize all of them. I am of no denomination, even if some of them contradict each other, because everything is saying the same thing. It's all talking about God. That's it. I'm not going to get to gang stalking to be like, oh, it's the white people gang stalking, it's the black people gang stalking. TIs, when you get to TI, you will notice that nobody cares. Everybody gang stalks you. Every race, every denomination, every creed, people with money, there's going to be nice cars, there are going to be beat down cars. Everybody. I've had doctors gang stalk me in their medical, their scrubs. They called someone off of the floor to run to gang stalk you. Come on. Who cares? It doesn't, we gotta lay all the differences down. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. Don't let people create more obstacles between you and other people. Eventually, you're gonna get out there and you're gonna realize that gang stalkers, people who gang stalk you, are also TIs. And then you stop like taking it that seriously, as far as like feeling like they're the enemy. The enemy is spiritual. These are spiritual attacks. If you never left your house again, they would energetically try to come in here and attack you. So you have to merge with your spirit guide. And this process forces you, gives you no choice but to depend on spirit for everything. Depend on God for everything. Depend on what you're seeing. Depend on that advice that you're getting. Depend on the guidance. Like when your eyes opened and you started noticing cars are following you. If I asked you, how did you know what cars are following you? That didn't come from logic. All the cars behind here are following. How do you know these ones are following you? Because it's not one car. It's not the red car that follows you from point A to point B. This car goes away and another one comes and another one comes and another one comes. And so how do you know that cars are following you? Who told you that cars are following you? Prove it. We're going to go to court and I want you to tell me how. You can't, because that didn't come to you by logic. That was an instinct. That was an intuition. Who told you that? That's the question that you got to answer. How do I know that I'm being followed? How do I know that there's energy in here? How do I know that this or that or the third? How comes I hear voices, but I was not microchipped? Because you would know if you were microchipped. I'm telling you, you would have scars. Don't listen to any BS on the the internet that's like, oh, these are the scars from my microchips and blah blah blah. Those are implants. Those people are planted there to misinform. I'm telling you how to get out of gang stalking. How did you know that you were being stalked if nobody around you could see it? If there were 3 friends in a room and you got gang stalked in that room, those 3 friends with you did not see what you saw. Consider that you might be psychic. Consider that you might have spiritual gifts. Consider it. Just consider it. And it's going to take you time to come to terms with who you actually are. But that is the truth. You are meant to come here and merge with your spirit guides. As you merge with these energies, let's put it in the Christian way. Christians read the Bible, and the Bible says that we carry the energy of God. How do we begin the process of carrying the energy of God? By taking actions that God would take. God is loving, God is kind, God is understanding, God is helpful. So every day we start practicing this behavior because that's what the Bible says to do. We practice these behaviors and it changes us from the inside. You feel the changes happening. You become more patient, you become more understanding, you become all of this stuff. So as you continue to practice being God-like, being more like God every day, you open up yourself that God can come in. If you did the opposite, you practice being hateful, every day you practice negative behaviors, being horrible to people, going out and doing evil every day, you're inviting space in you for these demonic entities to take hold, and you become more and more and more of what you practice. Now when you go out there hateful, other hateful people see you and they say, that's my people. I like you. I knew I liked you because you do evil things. It's the same way when you practice good. You open up yourself to spirit with the things that you practice. So you're practicing being a good person. Now you get to gang stalking and you're already there. And the first thing you do is pray when you get there, because you're like, holy crap, what is going on here? They are going to attack you harder when you pray. Don't stop. Whatever it is that they attack you hard for, do it double. They don't want you to come online more. They don't want you to pray more. They don't want you to meditate more. Do more of what no one wants you to do, because that's the thing that's going to get you out of here. That's why they must put so much effort into stopping it. Whatever they don't want you to do, do more. And I cannot repeat that more. So you're praying and God is giving you little signs here and there, dropping little breadcrumbs here and there. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Do this, do that, go over here, do this, talk to that person. You start navigating problems successfully and you're noticing a pattern. As you get into that pattern, you start realizing, I can no longer deny that there is a spirit here with me. I can no longer deny that something supernatural is helping me. I can no longer deny it. It's just in my face. So you get into a habit. Every time you have a problem, you pray. Every time you have a problem, you pray. And you'll be doubtful in the beginning. You're like, okay, I'm praying, but it might not work this time. Do you know how it worked for me? Spirit wanted me to pray so much that Spirit would answer prayers in real time. I would be at my store and I wasn't making any money for the day. I'm like, please, I just need to make $200. I would make exactly $200. Every sale that tried to come outside of the $200, I couldn't make it, no matter how much they liked the dress. I'll come back tomorrow. I'll come back this. It's always an excuse. I'm like, I gotta pray for more. So I pray for 500. I pray for 1,000. But whatever I pray for, I get exactly that. So I'm like, shit, it works. The issue is not that it works, it's what I'm praying for now. You think they could stop me from praying? Oh my God. When they started making me, they have tried everything to stop me from praying. If they start stopping me from praying, I'd stand up to pray. I'd put on music to pray. I'd start praying more passionately. I'd walk. I'd be like a preacher in my house praying, praying all day, all night. I went to bed late last night. Why? Because I was praying. They woke me up out of my sleep with these energetic attacks. I prayed. I get up and I'm praying. Now they're mad. They're like, damn, they want to put me back to sleep. They're trying to send energy to put me back to sleep because I woke up praying. If I were meditating and I fell asleep meditating because they sent energy that I wake up in the middle of the night and I meditate. Because when they wake you up to disrupt your sleep patterns, you're really up. You can't, like they really jolt you out of sleep. You can't go back. So it's perfect time to meditate. I get that meditation in. Do or die, you must. Meditate, pray, talk to spirit. And so I took my spiritual path. Listen, as you start taking that spiritual path, you start evolving and they start getting scared. The closer you get to spirit, if you sage one time, you don't get sick. If you cleanse your space one time, something happens, but then you get inconsistent and attacks can come through. You notice that when you start being more consistent, everything is more consistent. You notice that as you start keeping up with it, everything works. So you're like, obviously I'm going to keep doing this. They're going to attack you. Obviously you're still going to do it because the attacks don't matter. What matters is the results. That's how I get a result. So that's how I do it. Then spirit starts appearing to you in like your vision. Like you can see it. It's like how you see demonic energy. It's in the corner of your eye. Well, spirit starts in front of you. You know, I'm not saying spirit is going to appear dense like me, but you're going to know that there is energy here with you. You're going to start feeling confident and protected. And what starts out as an energy outside of you, it lets you know when it's time that it needs to come in, because it needs to come in. And it prepares you for that walk before it gets there. Otherwise, you're going to be scared of it. If it shows up to you, they don't look like us. Some of them look terrifying. So if it shows up to you, you're going to be terrified. So it prepares you. You see certain things, you meet certain people, you read certain things, opens up your mind incrementally, incrementally, incrementally. So by the time they get there, you were prepared for it. You've already been praying. God doesn't look like a Caucasian man with shoulder length hair and blue eyes. That's a person, that's a human being that walked a path. God looks nothing like you think. Probably nothing like you think. Nothing like you think. And God doesn't take on just one form. God's take on multiple forms, the same energy, multiple forms, multiple aspects to them. There are aspects of them that fight. There are aspects of them that are loving. There are aspects of them that are parental figure. There are aspects of them that are very that you would be scared of, that you don't want to violate or cross. There's different aspects of them, but it's all the same. Isn't there different aspects of you? For myself, I am a mother. I can be a friend. I can be a very helpful ally. I could be a horrible enemy to have. I could be a wife. I could be a sister. There's so many different aspects that manifest of you, so many different ways of you that manifest in different ways to different people. You are different things to different people, but you are the same. You as a person are the same. Spirit's the same. For you, it's your guide. So for me, it's a mothering energy. But for somebody else, she's probably their worst nightmare. It's like that. You as a parent, if someone attacks your kid, you are going to be their worst nightmare. The loving person that they know is not the loving person that person's going to see. They're going to see something else. So it's like that. You cannot get through this without merging with your guides. You get to the point that as you practice positive behaviors, as you practice these behaviors that make it possible, you practice the hope. The hope doesn't just come and stay. You practice hope. You practice resilience. You practice patience. You practice all of this. As you practice it, it makes it easier for spirit to come to you and to be with you. And just like you carry the energy of God, like the Bible says, you walk with the energy of God. So when people meet you, they meet the energy of God because you're so loving. You're so peaceful. You're so helpful. You're so genuine. You're so authentic. as you come to this point where you merge with this energy and people keep feeling it, you become this energy. It becomes who you are. It just takes time, over time. So over a certain length of time, over a certain period of time, you get to that point where who is even the old you? You don't even remember who this old you is. Who is even this person who used to argue with people, or used to do this, or used to do that, or used to drink, or used to party, or who is even that person? You don't even remember. You don't even resonate with that anymore. Now the person who you are accustomed to being is this way, and you enjoy it. And so it comes a certain point where you can never go back because you've practiced this for way too long. It is too foreign to you to be around people like that. It's too foreign to you to behave in this way. It's too foreign to you to have hopelessness when all you've ever had was hope. It's too foreign to you to not believe you're not going to be gang stalked when all you do every day, 24 hours a day, is just believe that this is going to be done. It's too foreign to do. It takes too much effort from you. This is how you slowly merge until you're walking around not just in the energy of God, but it's almost like this energy is now you. It has fused with you so fully that this is who you are. And so on a spiritual sense, it looks like you have become your spirit guide completely, because remember, your higher self, you have similar traits. It's going to take a while to advance in this journey where but every single TI is supposed to get there. That's why you're being gang stalked, to block you from getting there. Don't think that you're not. I heard people speak this way from before me, and I'm here now. So I'm just telling you, you take the walk, you get here, guaranteed. Your spirit guide could be a goddess. Your spirit guide could be something that is so powerful that you don't even think you're worthy of taking that walk. You didn't even think it could be you. You're in shock. You take the walk. Just take the walk. What else are you going to do? You're being abused. What are you going to lose? Doesn't matter what anybody thinks. It's private and it's personal. You take your walk. You find your way there. You practice the feelings, the right thoughts. You remain encouraged. The voice in your head is your voice, because that higher self is you. And you're thinking, am I just like being delusional? Am I making this up? No, it's your spirit guide. It's your higher self talking to you. You're like, I'm going to go out there tomorrow and I'm going to do this. And your higher self's like, don't. But you expect your higher self or a spirit to have a voice that's different from yours. You expect this to be somebody else's voice, because that's how we think spirits are going to show up. It's going to be a masculine voice or another voice or whatever. It's your voice. So you're like, am I making it up? You go somewhere to do something and your better judgment is like, no, don't buy that. And is that your intuition? Is that your gut? Is that your conscience? All of that can be described as your higher self. And the more you start listening to it, you realize it's right all the time. How many times has your gut been wrong? No one's gut has ever been wrong. We just don't listen to it. That's the voice of your higher self telling you what to do. And if you don't listen to it, you kill the voice, you dull it down. But if you do start listening to it, you make it stronger. And so that voice gets louder and louder and louder. And now it's talking in your head pretty loud. Not because you're hearing it like V2K or like, no. It's really guiding you. You're laying in bed and it's saying, why are you still sleeping? You're over here and it's saying, why are you talking to this person? And you're like responding to it. You're like, I don't want to be mean. And it's like, who cares? Walk away. We all have had that feeling. Did that feel like an out-of-body experience where some foreign voice was talking to you? No, it was you talking to yourself, telling yourself, I should be walking away from this person. You're like, but I don't want to be mean. No, but walk away. Who cares? And then you walk away. That's how it feels. People think it feels like no, that's how it starts. That's how it feels. you eventually will become that person, the one that already knows not to talk to that person. You eventually will merge with this spirit that makes you make better decisions. You eventually will realize that there is a version of you, just like you're hearing voices with V2K that can probably hear people's thoughts, that can do things, there's a superhuman version of you. If you are a TI, whether you believe it or not, it's because you're not like a normal person like everybody else. A part of you already knows that. If you needed permission to hear that, then I'm going to tell you. There is more at play. These are not weapons of mass destruction. These are not this is not that. No, there is more going on here. And you know that. And you can feel it. Take your time and walk the path. Don't rush it. Don't rush trying to like jump out of a plane and fly. Like day by day, incrementally choose better thoughts, choose better feelings, make better decisions. I'm sorry, I'm getting this residue from lip gloss here. Choose better feelings, make better decisions, walk your path. Eventually you get there. Eventually you start figuring out what you should do, what you should not do. You don't need outside help or outside advice. You depend on yourself. You start knowing when you should do this, when you should do that, how you should do this, how you should do that. And let me explain to you, with your spirit guide is almost who you pray to in the spirit. It may not be God, it may not be in the traditional sense, it may not be Jesus, it may not be any of that. So with your spirit guides and your spirit team, you're going to get to the point where you're both of them. That's how it works. I consider my spirit guide, I call her mother because she's a mothering energy to me. I call her the universe, but she's also me at the same time. We are the same person. We have the same characteristics. She's a better version of me. I am reluctant to think that I could be like that perfect, that amazing, because I cannot find flaw with her at all. But she feels like a foreign energy at the same time. I go in the spirit and I pray to her for help. And I know 100% it's never going to be a no. It might be a maybe, or it might be like, that's not a great idea, but I'm going to get the help. Now, prior to this, I was Christian, and I thought of God in a certain way. That's not how it's been for me. Now, I would think to myself, I know I'm not demonic, I know I'm not satanic, I know I'm not what, but the Bible, what it's saying, it's still literal. I found it to be very literal. Everything is true, but it's the way that they've given us the information that hasn't made any sense. Like, it's not, they've lied. They've purposely watered it down. They've purposely skewed it, and it's not what it is. I took a chance. I thought I was crazy in the beginning. I was like, I don't know what you're doing. But I also recognized I had no choice. I recognized I had nothing to lose because I've gone everywhere for help and no one's helping me. I've called everyone that I could, that made sense to call. I didn't call a lot of people, but that made sense to call, and everybody turned me away. What do? I took my chance. And I said, I'm going to follow Spirit through. I pray, I trust, I walk that path, I do my best. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And at least I tried. It's worked every single time. Every single time it's worked. Every single time I said, should I do this? Should I do that? I always have the answers. I just don't trust it. And Spirit will confirm it to me in another way. Like, yeah, that's the right thing you were supposed to do. Until I get to the point I trust my gut. And now I get to the point I don't even think things through. I follow instinct all the time. I'm like, I live almost like animals live. You know, animals walk into somewhere and they pause. And they just freeze. And they might back up and run out, or they might run in a direction, or they might do something. They live on instinct. I get to the point that I'm on instinct because I let Spirit take over. There's a point there was a point where it came that it became hard to distinguish myself from my spirit guide. It just came there, like, as I went through, and I'm sure people who know me now have noticed, as I've gone through, I just feel indistinguishable from spirit, in the sense where I have let spirit take over so long, and I've walked this path for so long, that there's no point in me trying to navigate or do the things that I used to do or figure things out. There's no point to it. The whole point to this was to walk this path and walk through life in general as my spirit guide. That's the point that you're here for. To walk with the energies that are helping you. And you should not be navigating the world by yourself. That's the point. You don't want to be in Hollywood. You don't want to be in your successful state. You don't want to be doing any of this stuff without spirits here with you, walking with you, navigating, because this whole path is booby trapped and it's all fake. A lot of it. It's a lot of illusions. It's contrived, and spirit has to help you figure out what makes sense and what doesn't. What's the truth and what's not. So if I gave advice that said, navigate gang stalking by yourself, just with positive thoughts and positive emotions and pushing through, there's too much spell work here to even attempt that. That wouldn't work for one full 24-hour period. You have to navigate it with spirit, and spirit will tell you what you need. They will check your engine lights on the inside. They will tell you that you're getting sick, you need to wake up, you need to go to sleep, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to whatever. And this is not something that people can block. It's something that you evolve very rapidly. I'm going to give one last story, and then I'm going to end it here because I've been on live way too long. So there's this movie I used to watch when I was younger, and I was terrified of this movie as a kid. It's called Species, and there's Species 1, 2, and 3. This is like when we still watched VHS. We were terrified of this movie as kids, but I still wanted to watch it. I was just scared. So there was this one girl, and she got infected with an alien species. Like, somehow she got alien DNA in her. I'll probably look it up. She got alien DNA in her, and she evolved like extremely fast. It was like overnight. And then as soon as they were trying to stop her from being, oh my God, this is so crazy. They were trying to stop her from having the infection. Excuse me. So they started hunting her down. And I think within they were expecting that they would have more time, and they didn't have more time to do it. So by the time they got to her, she had already merged fully with the alien. And the next thing that she wanted to do, she wanted to mate. She just wanted to create a baby. That's all she wanted to do. So these people are trying to hunt this girl down, and she's sniffing through men, and she can tell the ones that are sick. She could tell the ones that have like disease. She could tell the ones that have I hate to say it, but inferior intellect. She can tell, until she finally gets this one guy, and this guy is nothing like you would think. He's not like the tall, dark, handsome, powerful, super wealthy. It's nothing like that. But you could tell when she finds him, she's like, okay, this is the one. So she seduces him, they mate, and then they have an alien. Like, it's an alien baby. I don't remember what happens to him or whatever, but he impregnates this alien, and then by the time, and they again think they're gonna have time to catch her. Within 24 hours, she hatches this egg, she places it on the corner in the wall, and by the time they come, the egg already hatched, and by the time they're trying to find it, it's a full-grown adult. So now this alien comes in, infects this woman, and this woman is no longer infected by the alien. She is the alien. Like, behind her eyes, like, she has these reptilian eyes. So you can see the aliens in there. It's fully merged. And she doesn't act like herself. She has superhuman strength. It's like they can't kill her anymore. It's too late for that. So they're trying to find the alien baby, and this thing's already walking. And it's like now, and I can't remember, I don't want to misquote the movie because you can look it up. Species 2, Species 3, Species 4. I think there's a fourth one, but it's like they know. I think by the time this thing merged with this woman, I think they they should have known that it was done. At that point, they just didn't want her to mate. That's like where they were at with it. They don't want her to procreate. She did it anyway. Because first of all, you can't stop her. They couldn't stop her. She's not normal. They can't, they've been shooting at her. I'm gonna look it up, but I'm pretty sure, of course, they tried to kill her. It's either she like absorbs the bullets or she deflects it or whatever. Like they can't catch her. They can't kill her. So the most they can do is maybe try to slow her down or stop her. They can't do that. There are so many of them. And they're doing this in broad daylight, in public, in full view of everyone, but other people don't know what's going on. She cannot be stopped. She obviously is not scared of anything or anyone. She doesn't care. She doesn't look like she's concerned at all. She's just hunting for a mate. That's all she's doing. And they can't stop her. And everybody that gets close to her passes away. So she's going to do what she wants to do anyway. She's going to get there anyway. It's a matter of time. That movie is what came to me today, and that to me is what it feels like going through gang stalking as a spiritual ascension, not the mating part and all of that, but the part of merging with your spirit guides and becoming your highest self. That's what it feels like. That's what it's like. The old you might have been one way, but you were chosen for a reason because you were appropriate. It could have chosen someone else, another person, you for a reason, you. So when you find your spirit guides and they're already there, you just have to open up to the experience. It's your beliefs and your mind that's stopping you. When you find your spirit guides and you merge fully and it is fully integrated, nothing can stop you. Nothing can stop you. This energy cannot touch you. They can't even delay you. They're afraid of you because they know you're not 100% human. That's the point of going through a spiritual ascension, to accept your destiny, where you're supposed to be, is to allow yourself to elevate to a new life experience, because nobody puts this much pressure on a normal person unless they knew what you're supposed to be. This is one woman that they're hunting, and they're bringing military grade personnel. Why? If it's one real normal earth human person, they don't need the military. So why are there so many gang stalkers, and why is there so much energy work? Because they know that if they give you an inch, they know if they let this thing go on too long and let that evolution happen, that there's no stopping you whatsoever, because they're human, but you're not. They need an army. You can stand an army by yourself. Practice the proper behaviors. Take the walk strategically, not as a punishment, as preparation to carry what you're supposed to carry. This energy cannot be, I'm being not literal, but I'm being metaphorical. This energy needs you to be resilient because you're going to be attacked. It needs you to be fearless because you're going to see military personnel. It needs you to be exactly what it is that you're training to be. It needs you to jump off of the top of a train. It needs you to be able to take chances. It needs you to be able to persist. It needs blind trust, because that is what it came here for. And those are the obstacles that you're going to face after this. If you want to graduate, you want to get your life not back, but the one you deserved all along. If you want all of that, you got to be able to be fearless. You got to be able to persist. You got to be able to know that there's something after you and care less, because it's human. What is after you is just human. So you are not a demon. Like, they're going to say you're a demon. They're going to say you're a witch. They're going to say all of this. Essentially, it's like you are what those people pray to. You are like what the witch prays to. You're not a witch necessarily. So I may have alienated people with this message, but it is what it is. Walk your path. Open your heart. Try something new. And stop being insane and beating your head against the wall and doing the same thing every day and expecting different results. You are going to get through what would have normally wiped out a normal person, because normal people don't go through all this gang stalking. Normal people, energetically, they can get rid of them very easily. If you're a human being, they get rid of you with the energy from the onset. The fact that you keep surviving it means that you're supposed to, and you're not 100% of what you people think you are. That is my message for today. I'm not going to do a spirit messages card because that is the message. Have yourself a great day.